Dude,
We're
Finally
here.
made it.
We're here.
my
We're all together.
gosh, bro.
So I've interviewed both of you individually, but
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to having you guys all on together. So I'm pretty excited about this.
How often do you get more than one person on your podcast?
Quite what, Julian? I've had, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes probably.
Yeah.
Where I think I've had max 3 guests on.
Okay.
So we might have had more. We've done a couple of holiday episodes that I never released. That was all family.
I was squinting and going, wait, where are these? And okay, I've heard of the family episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are what we call the vault. So those would not. Yeah, those are all personal.
Julian's your brother, right?
Yeah, he's my brother.
Okay, that's why. You look
nice.
familiar, dude.
Yeah, Julian. I got my brother Adriano's been on. My brother Madden, and my brother Dominic hasn't been on, but he's been on some of the older episodes.
Okay.
And stuff like test episodes. He's helped me out in the beginning.
That's so cool, man.
So how long now have you been running?
When?
To bring about?
Oh, dude, 2022, I think it is. But you got to remember, I think that
one episode.
That's
one episode. And then for like a whole year,
I'm not making fun of you. I just remember that it was yesterday. You telling me about that.
Yeah. It's how podcasts work, though. You know.
Yeah, it really is.
Mine literally right now is on a little hiatus.
Yeah, mine too.
I know. So what's going on? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So I think I was telling you, I got 37 more episodes to get to 100. I'm pretty particular about that. You know, John had a profound impact on me when he was talking about that. I know this one is like number 90 for you, or it's going to be 91?
89.
Okay.
89.
I've got
plenty. Cheers, fellas. 89.
Yeah, man.
Boom.
Such a big deal, dude. I got plenty of people to talk to, but there are some things that I've got to figure out. Like, for example, I would love to do these next few ones in person. You know, I really want to get the better cameras. You and I have talked about that, Gabriel.
Yeah.
You know, there are folks that will not come on the show because it's all virtual, and they're like, I've got like 5 folks that are like, tell me when you can do some in-person stuff, you know? And so I get that. I totally get it.
What's the hot take there?
The hot take?
Yeah, like why won't they?
Well, the remote can give a different type of energy.
Oh, yeah.
You know
and we used to do them in person on KCBC, but they were audio only. So they were missing the video. And it was like, man, I loved it.
But the way he did them, though, you didn't feel that disconnect.
Not a chance.
You know what I mean? And even when I did it, it felt different because I had never done that before.
When you did the virtual with me for my...
But once we got going... I mean, it was cool. You know, it's like when I did an interview not too long ago via Teams. That was the first time I've ever done an interview through Teams. Usually, I go to the office, I do an interview in person. You got 3 guys sitting at a table staring at you.
Yeah.
But so it was awkward. But after the first one, and then I did like 2 or 3 more. It was like, okay, this isn't. I get it now. I understand the delay. I understand, the kind of the back and forth through. It is different, but you get used to it.
There's a couple of them too. It's like they've got platforms that are very personal and they're in person, and I get that they have their own brand, and that's another thing, man. Is people they bring their brand with them to the show, and so I get that. But like I've got some hard line in the sand things. Also, too, it's good for people to know since the last time I was here, a lot's transpired, right? Like I had a job change. I lost one of my best buddies to suicide.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And that rocked me. I was doing the show the whole way through that. Meanwhile, the kids get out of school. They're in summer. My wife gets more responsibilities with her job. She's making changes. She's starting to do speaking engagements. We had so much, bro. And then the kicker was like in this last season, which was season 6, I had 5 people that were scheduled, bro, and they all like either dipped out the day of or they had to cancel and reschedule because the golden window to interview people is before summer hits, especially if they have kids. Yeah. And bro, I just had like 5 in a row, and I was like, I'm gonna like just put a hiatus. I got a lot of things I'm studying for my certification right now. Like there's just way too much, bro. And here's the thing that I said in the last few episodes is that it has to give at some point, right? And we all do this. Like, okay, we have 3 podcasters here. You are definitely the most consistent dude amongst us, right? And I know what you have had to do to make this thing run, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this, even before Julian and Dom came, like you were the guy behind the board, right? And now you're getting help, but we know it is a lot of work, bro. And I know we're not going to get into like the whole podcasting thing. That's a well-traveled road
right
on all of our shows, really. But, you know, it's a lot of work, bro. And so I had to tell my kids just one too many times, yeah, I'll be up for dinner 5 minutes. Then they're coming down, they're telling me 10 minutes. It's like I shared that on my show, but it was like I was talking about me. Probably everybody knew I was talking about me at that point.
right
You know,
right.
but man, it's a lot of work. So I'm definitely gonna come back to it. But there's just some things that I've got to sew up first. And then I know too, like when I come back, I'll have a renewed focus, you know. We had some sponsorships, we had a lot of cool things going for it, but there is this other thing, and this is where I'll kind of sew it up, package it up, and kind of go to you guys. I want people to hear from you guys too. Of course, I don't want to talk forever, but you know, the what was I gonna say?
You lost your thought. It's been a little bit since you did a podcast.
One of the things that I've realized with Kansas City Business Cast, and I've talked with you guys about this, but like making it focused on Kansas City, I think I'm starting to run out of room there.
Yeah.
Right. And it is not a diss on Kansas City, but it is just as I have explored the options, the why of the podcast, right? So I made it because I was talking to business owners anyway through my LLC.
Yeah.
And they were in Kansas City. I was like, man, we got plenty of people. And I think that's the truth is we have plenty of people in Kansas City.
Right.
But I think the growth level, and probably related to some of the things like it's not in person. I don't have the 4K cameras. I don't have the snappy editing, B-roll, all that stuff. There's all these factors that go into it. But I feel like I've kind of reached my limit or my tap on that. And so I'm reevaluating, like, do I rebrand? Do I do a new thing? I'm definitely going to be doing a different podcast in the future.
Well, and
because
you
my
forget,
subject matter has changed.
And
as
people
well,
forget
but-
too, it's like you're a father, you're a husband, you know, you
That's
have
right.
an actual job, you know.
Yep.
So these things come into play. Like, you know, I appreciate, you know, what you said about me being consistent, but I haven't always been like that. Like we just discussed, there's been times where I fell off and on.
Yeah.
And it could happen now. You know, I'm starting a new position here, which I've talked to you about and that I accepted here in a couple of weeks. And, you know, it's going back to, you know, doing the stuff that I was doing prior, which, you know, you're in it as well.
That, bro.
And
Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
But it takes up so much time.
Yeah.
You know how that is. You know how that is. And it just, money comes first when it comes to this stuff. You know what I mean? This is fun. I started this stuff to be able to have like a vault, a time capsule of videos with people that I met. You know what I mean? Like with good conversations, friends, new people, you know, and to be able to reflect one day and look back on them and enjoy them. You know what I mean? So would I love to be able to do this full time? For sure. But I'm not going to force it. You know what I mean? And if I think if it wasn't so difficult out here in the world right now economically, then maybe I would, you know, give more. But times are hard right now. You know, shit's expensive, and money and, you know, giving everything to my kids means more than this. So I'll try to do this when I can. It's supposed to be fun, though. You know, I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be.
I think those are the two vibes. Do it when I can and make it fun. That's what I'll do going back into it. And it probably won't look like a every week thing.
Yeah. And if there's other people that can bite down and make the sacrifices, more power to you. It's just, you know,
absolutely.
Me, I just, you know, can't do that. So,
and I think that like what you're both touching on is like an overarching theme of this, like being a man and having a family comes with this, like that 10 minutes thing that hits with me. And I've been on a year break of a podcast. Like that hits with me over my day-to-day job or over
the kids bugging you, daddy.
Just like, or the wife or a friend wanting me to text him back to see if we can hang out. Like it just all compounds because we're trying to follow this trajectory of like, I want to provide the best for the people around me, you know? Right. And that provision, if you truly have the itch and the drive to do it, it takes bandwidth, man. And you find the balance of like, this was a great idea. I did it for a little while. I even told everybody I was doing it. And now I have to set it down because these other opportunities have come up and they either make more sense long term or they pay out better right now. And it's all about that shifting table. You know, it's like life is on like this mahjong board on a lazy Susan that keeps spinning, and you like don't know what tile to, you know, touch because everything's shifting. And I just feel like that's probably something that people can really resonate with who have a family and who want better.
Right.
There's people who have a family, they're not really concerned about wanting better. There's people who don't have a family, but they do want better. But when you push those two things together, it is this wild balance.
Right.
You know?
I completely agree. And also, too, I do other things. You know, I have other channels that I've had to neglect for this. I have other hobbies. Yeah. You know, like I just was at the Chopper Fest, the David Mann Chopper Fest on Saturday, which I was stoked for. I've been waiting for it to come. I only had like maybe 2 hours to go down there. I had other shit I had to do. You know, I had family stuff to do. My daughter has homecoming coming up. I wanted to be with them. Yeah,
dude.
I know. You're telling me. I know. October 11th. Yeah.
My gosh. Dude.
So I had to go. I didn't have to, you know. Luckily, you know, they're never like, oh, Dad, you got to come with us. But I want to be there for these moments. You know what I mean?
Something you get to do.
Also,
right?
I have a 7-year-old. You know, I want to be able to, you know, pull her away. That way they can actually go shop. And, you know, it is a thing like for a father to see finally, you know, his daughter growing up and buying a dress to go to homecoming. And it's weird.
I got to hold the tears back, bro.
It's weird.
Hearing
man.
you talk
I'll tell you
about
that.
this right now.
but I wanted to be there for that. And in order to be there for that, I had to make some sacrifices. I didn't get to stay at the David Mann Chopper Show, which is whatever. I wish I could have. But like even like just with everything, with jiu-jitsu, with this, with hunting coming up, and I'm out there trying to get ready for that, and family and all the and work. And like I forgot to even I was going to do a couple of interviews. I had a couple of buddies down there with bikes
at the Chopper Fest.
the Chopper Show. Like I literally just went around filming shit, and then I'm here editing yesterday, and I'm like, God damn, I didn't interview anybody about their bikes. What the fuck?
You're having too much fun, bro.
Yeah, and so there's just things that get overlooked, and unfortunately, that's kind of always been my brain. Very sporadic, very into everything. So I'm not going to be able to, I guess, give my all to one thing, but I'm having fun. So that's all that really matters. You know, I wouldn't have met you two if I didn't have this. I wouldn't have met all the other people that I've interviewed who have been great friends now. You know, I mean, we all talk to each other. I have so many. I have so many group chats now.
Yeah.
Every time I send a video now, it's like 6 group chats, getting people's feedback from shit. So
dude,
it's great.
I've been in chats with you and Mitch, with you and Bear, other guests that have met on my show. And that is the thing, man, that you cannot put a dollar value on is these relationships. We were at John's 100th episode. Yeah. We had that meeting at the shop. Just none of these connections would exist if we did not have that creative outlet.
And even if nothing,
put it out there.
And even if it didn't go through, just like that meeting at the shop, dude. We still all got to meet each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
You guys got to meet Tyler. He was a cool
I had him on
dude.
my show, one of the best episodes I've ever done, bro.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
And so
absolutely love
I
that
think
guy.
pulling out of, like pulling back and looking down on all this stuff, I think it was all a win. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and also the Kansas City thing, I do want to touch on that.
Please.
Because I hear the Kansas City stuff all the time. And although, yes, I love living in Kansas City, it's great. Kansas City is not my identity. You know what I mean? And I see that a lot here in Kansas City. And no knock to them. Cool. Do your thing. But, there's so many cool people throughout, even in Missouri alone, not just like other cities in Missouri, other Kansas, Illinois, Arkansas. So I think to pigeonhole yourself into one area is okay if that's your niche, but there's so many other cool people out in many different places that, like you said, remotely you could interview or travel or they may be passing in. I mean, there's many people I've hit up where I'm like, hey, if you're ever in Kansas City, please hit me up and I'd love to have you on. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think reaching out more is good, This whole Kansas City, I don't know, Kansas City kind of gets a little culty sometimes, don't you guys think? Or am I tripping on that?
Absolutely does. Absolutely. In fact,
I guess all major cities are probably like that. LA, New York.
Absolutely, bro. And people struggle to support outside of that. But then also I've noticed people struggle to support their own.
I know.
And bro, we've talked about that. And I'm very curious too to hear from you because your podcast is about security, right? So it's an entire global industry.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, they need it in space too. Like ISS needs security too. But like for you, bro, like what is that like when you have like a whole industry? It doesn't matter. And your platform was virtual mostly too, right?
My platform was all virtual. Yeah. And so for the Security Today podcast, it was focused on physical security, and I was reaching out to people industry wide. And so I got people all over the States. I didn't get to travel internationally, but I mean, that would have happened if it lined up. And so, and I think that like when you put your passion into something that you have high interest in, whether it's, you know, so like security was my work, but it's also kind of like what I'm into. I'm a little bit of a nerd about it. So like if you have a hobby that you're a nerd about, that then takes the barrier away from a city. Because now, you know, you're into like motorcycles and you can talk to people in Dubai about motorcycles, you know? So it's like, yeah, you can kind of lose those barriers if you just, you know, don't let that become your identity, but find a passion.
And it's neat too. Like when I watched yours, there was a guy that actually reached out to me. I don't know if you interviewed him. I have listened to a couple of your episodes. I thought they were great, even though they're remote. Thought they were great. Great conversation. I learned a lot of shit I didn't even know about. That, dude, your world is fucking weird, crazy, weird, and fucking crazy. It scares me a little bit too. I'm like, holy shit. When it comes to security shit, man, like I didn't know. Even when I had you on when we talked, like just all the possible threats you could be facing day by day, and you don't even know. You know what I mean? And you may know of it, but you don't know the details of it like you do. But like I've even had what's that company? Did you wear their hat last time I interviewed you? But he reached out to me. He's from a different state.
Systems. Frankie.
Yeah, he was a
Frankie
cool dude. He hit me up and he was like, "Hey man, you know Bear's a cool dude, and it was a good podcast."
He's so good, man.
Yeah,
he's one of my good buddies.
And so and that shit's neat, man.
And I met him on Instagram, man. Shit,
really?
I just saw him. He was posting reels. He posts all the time about like what he's doing at the door, like he's connecting wires and hanging shit, and he has just such a drive for excellence that you can see it in his craft.
Right.
And so I was, you know, I followed him for a little bit, and then we had some, you know, interchanges and DMs, and then all of a sudden it was like over text, and we went out to a.
Oh, he got your number?
Yeah. I slid in. I was like, hey.
They didn't choke each other though, right?
HMU, baby. You know? But then, and then we went to a conference. Bro. He was going to a security conference that I went to and spoke at. And that's when we met each other for the first time. But it was just like, you know, we'd already been talking. So it's crazy how that can happen in today's day and age.
I just love how you can meet people that like it's instant. Like I feel that way about you guys as well. Like I built trust with both of you extremely quickly because I could see your interests were a lot of my interests as well. And then the way that you speak during tough times and challenging times, like you learn a lot about people with the way they deal with hardship, right? And so if I'm trying to get that in my life, I'm going to try and find my brothers. Iron sharpens iron, right? Because I know I can't do life on my own. So
that lone wolf shit's whack.
It is, bro. It is. I've heard you talk about that before.
And not lone wolf, not Jeremy. No.
Jeremy's good, bro.
No, Warden. No. 10 Planet lone wolf stuff. No, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about the mindset of a lone wolf. Like you don't need a pack. You know what I mean? Like that shit is just like. You need a fucking, you can't be out on your own, man. Like all these people that you see that are successful, usually due to a team, you know, a team of strong men behind them, you know, and so I think that needs to be looked at a lot more too. You know, we're all so kind of separated. We need to come together a little more, which it's hard, you know, it's hard to find time. The older you get, you guys know it's hard, dude. You know, even us, we were talking about meeting up before and, you know, trying to, you know, just kind of bullshit and discuss some things. And, you know, we're all busy and it's just hard to kind of get together. You work for the CIA, apparently, and never have time for us.
He's always like,
I started like,
I'm doing something. The time we talk, we got all these cameras and my man's Julian is on there streaming the feed, bro, to the 3-letter agencies, man. Oh, dude,
I knew they'd get us.
I know, bro. Well, it was funny. I mean, I was just telling one of my homies the other day, man, I flew on some flights and it was the first time ever that I wasn't special checked, bro. And I was like, I must be off the list now, you know? And it was funny because he was identifying with that too. It was like both of us had like a stretch of 10 years, man, where it's like every time.
Had to take the shoes off.
And well, No, actually not anymore. You don't have to take the shoes off anymore.
You don't have to do that anymore?
No, there was a guy next to me that had his boots off, and I was like, what? I thought we could come in with our shoes on. And he's like, I wear steel toes for work. So he had them on. But anyway, no, it was funny. We were joking. So I don't know. Maybe I am CIA, bro.
Maybe you are.
I don't know,
I
man.
think you might be, dude.
Yeah.
They just like MIB flash you every time you go home. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
He's in jiu-jitsu now, sharpening his
yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
Back in it.
Dude, 2 stripes, bro. I know
man.
it's just
Congrats,
the second
dude.
stripe, but my gosh, bro,
dude,
it took so
that
long.
whole
big
like
break and-
yeah, but that whole undermining of like white belts and like their stripes and stuff like that, dude. No, those are accomplishments.
sure.
Accomplishments.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck, I can't talk today.
Absolutely.
But like, or even like local tournaments. I hate when guys rag on local tournaments. Yeah, we fuck with each other in the gym, like on the mat, you know, and start giving each other shit. But really, they are accomplishments, man. They are really cool to look back on and be able to see that you tested yourself, even if it is some division you're just rolling with other dads in. You know what I mean? But like, who else does that? How many of your friends know that really
Bro.
have tested themselves since high school? You know?
Yeah.
For real, bro.
Because how old are you?
I'm 37.
37. So
Had
I'm
to count.
33.
42, I
42.
think.
And
Yeah.
look, we're out here fucking, you know, rolling around with other men, choking each other out. What the fuck's
I
wrong
know,
with you?
I wanna-
joking,
Yeah.
choke jokes.
Yeah.
I want to hear both your jiu-jitsu stories because I know we talk about jiu-jitsu all the time, but
Yeah.
I don't know how you got into it or how you got into it.
Well, I mean, I got into it. Okay, so one time I was at a barbershop and my buddy Abraham, who unfortunately passed away, he's the one, he was doing MMA at the time. And
This was a while ago?
This is 2018, I think, is when I first started in 2019, but I started hearing about it in 2018, 2019. And he's cutting my hair, and we always used to talk about MMA all the time. And there was a guy next to him named Ryan. He's been on the show. They call him Mooch. And he was overhearing the conversation, and he goes, "Hey, man, I hear you talking about Rogan a lot, man. There's a 10th Planet here in Kansas City." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No way."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Fuck, okay." And I think before that, I had went to Ignite when they used to be by Boomers. And I tried a couple of classes there. Ended up not joining. I don't know. It might have been finances, or it may be a little more pricey. And I just kind of held off. And so he told me it was out there in Platte City. So I go up there, and first day, man, hooked. I was like, dude, year membership now, you know? So I signed up for a year membership and
10 Planet.
Yeah, 10 Planet.
You got to be a psycho too.
Yeah.
To like love that right off the bat.
Dude, it was literally because back then.
Psycho in a good way.
No, yeah, back then it was a little bit different. I feel like it was a little more lax than
Mm.
what it is now. And it depends on which gym you go to. Some gyms, when you walk in as a white belt, they won't let you roll with other people at the end of the night.
Yep.
They'll kind of have you with other white belts, or you'll have to be in a different class. But at that time, they let me roll. So I went up there, and they let me roll with people that weren't gonna like fucking hurt me. And one of the first couple rolls was with like James Regina, who you've had on your show.
Dude,
yeah, he was a
congrats
blue
on that black belt,
yeah,
bro.
dude, he was a blue belt when I met him.
Damn,
Yeah,
bro.
And so
He's still your restaurant though, right?
yeah, he is my restaurant. Don't ever forget that too. So I go up there and
stirring.
literally after we were done rolling, like, dude, I can't explain. Maybe if you go run 3 miles, 4 miles, you know that runner's high you get afterwards?
Yes.
That's what I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally got fucked up for like 5 rounds, and I was like, I don't know why I like this. I might be fucking weird, but I got to have more.
Yeah.
And so I sign up, and you know, because some people, I feel like they that ego hits them, and they're like, oh, these guys are beating me up. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want. This.
I don't like the way
this.
getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, I don't
feels.
like getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know that I don't know how to fight.
But that's such an important element.
I know. Well, that's how I was.
it.
Like, I was like, dude, I don't know how to fight, and I realize that.
Right.
I want to learn now.
Yeah.
And so I signed up, and then I continued to go for a while, and I felt like I was going quite a bit and just kept getting nagging injuries. And then I had my second child at the time. She was very young. So it was like working 10 to 12 hours a day at a machine shop, then driving 25 minutes out there, you know, all excuses in the end, but valid excuses to an extent. And so I just pulled out after like 6 months, and Jeremy was great. I mean, dude kept in contact with me. Even like years later would shoot me a text message. Hey man, we miss you, man. Hope you come back. You know,
that.
like that's a fucking coach, man.
That's killer.
You know what I mean? And he only knew me for 6 months, you know?
Yeah.
And,
that's like the heart of jiu-jitsu. You know?
Yeah. And then like I fell out for a while, ended up doing some other stuff in the meantime. I'm sure I've talked to you guys about this, joined a club and all that stuff, you know, motorcycles and just kind of went down a dark path. Those guys were great, had fun, but just drinking way too much, you know, smoking cigarettes, you know, drugs, blah, blah, blah. And so I was just like, I got to get the fuck out of this. You know, I keep going back to what I always go back to. Mm. And that's when John Monk's gym opened up in 2023 down the street at Healy and Gracie. Literally, I'm like, if this is any bigger of a sign, I don't know what is. It's 3 minutes down the road. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Having it close to you is huge.
Huge. Too. I tell people that all the time. It's the biggest thing. Yeah. A lot of people have contacted me over the years and like, hey, I want to join. It looks great. I like how you talk about it. It's something I want to try. And then I'm like, the number one advice, make sure it's near you. I don't give a fuck what gym. I want to go to Temple. I want to go to. These are all great gyms. And I would want you to go to these gyms. But I also want you to succeed. And if you can't devote a 25, 30-minute drive or more, then you best just stay local. To like if you have a cast iron or a Parada or a Ignite or whatever it may be, KCBJJ, 10th Planet, Hillian, go to one of those, you know what I mean? Or hell, Alive, you know, that's a great gym too. Stay near. Just like if you were to work out, you want it nearby. Absolutely. You know what I mean? You don't want to commute too far. But yeah, so I joined Helion, a little skeptical on the gi, come from a no-gi background with them. I was just like, ugh, I don't want to fuck with that. But ended up falling in love with it.
Yeah.
And I'll always be a no-gi guy first. That'll always be my first choice. But
a little catch wrestling.
Yeah, well,
just messing.
I seen that fucking video. I seen that video. And that man was a soft ears. He was talking about that. So I do not listen to that man. Did you see that video though?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it came past my reel.
And then what's that guy's name that always talks shit? He's always videotaping himself in the car. He's always calling people soft ears. He's like, I won't listen to you with soft ears.
Oh, is that?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
I can't remember his name. But I think you know who I'm talking about though. And because that's what he said. The guy he was watching the video and then reviewing, he goes, the guy that he was watching was like, "Oh, no-gi's just catch wrestling. That's all."
I know. I'm just messing. He said that. I thought I'd just stir a pot, you know.
And but yeah, no. And so like, and then when I went there, stuck with it since. You know, I mean, of course, off and on. You know, you have months where you kind of have to take off injuries or you know, you have shit coming up. Like lately, I've only been training fucking once, maybe twice a week right now. I just came off that horrible back, you know, bulging disc I had. That was probably the worst one I've ever had. And I've dealt with them for years. But that last one, man, I mean, I lost probably like, I'm about the same weight, but I probably lost like 7-8 pounds of muscle. Like just because couldn't work out, was doing PT, stuck to PT only, stopped doing jiu-jitsu for a while. Here and there I'd pop in. And then took off like 8 weeks from it altogether. And I just had to get right. And luckily I did. I feel a lot better now. So now I'm just kind of going once, twice a week. Hopefully as winter arc comes around and progress that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For me, like I've never really talked about this in a public forum, but like I realized that I was, you know, 215 pounds of chewed bubble gum and I was not going to do anything aside from having a weapon or a firearm around to be able to defend my life. And, you know, I come from a rough environment and, you know that you need to be able to defend yourself as a man, no matter where you're at. And so for me, it was like, okay, like I'm good with weapons and things, but like I want to be the weapon, you know?
And you also don't want to rely on a weapon every time. That's what I try to tell
realizing
people.
That you can't.
No, you want to shoot somebody over a fight.
You're in federal buildings, something pops off or whatever. It's like, you got to be able to, and the whole thing too, and this is what like a lot of firearms guys too, like they get time on the flat range and they think that means that they know how to like shoot and like they're going to be good. they never do it under duress.
Pressure, yeah.
And with jiu-jitsu, what I know, so I started training in 2021. It was at Brazil Academy. Ninja Pinto out there, great guy, lots of good dudes in that academy. I did it for about 9 months. I was hurt for about 3 or 4 of those months, bro. I got so many injuries because I think it was a combination. It was like I had part of like my ego is like I wanted to prove it to myself, not necessarily to these other guys, but I wanted to know that I was dangerous but good, you know? And so I think I got some injuries. Like I tried to like do Uchimata on like a couple of 270-pound dudes. And I'm like, bro, that's no wonder. Like when your tendons like tear, it takes so long to heal. So like I had tendon problems. I had a back problem. I actually had a back problem that got solved with a triangle. My buddy did a triangle on me and it went, and he goes, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And I was like, dude, actually, you just fixed my shoulder. I've been dealing with this shit for 3 weeks, and now I'm good. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm coming to you next time this thing tenses up. And I had a really supportive professor there in Val Chitwood, right? So I had Val on my show, and when I got laid off in March 2023, we had to stop everything, right? Like this is something I've talked about quite a bit before, but like all the subscriptions went on hold. Like we almost lost the cars. We almost lost the house. Like that was a solid year and a half of just on that struggle bus, bro. And the wheels were falling off. And so I could have gone to open mats. Actually, Kaz, one of the guys that I know now who is a professor over at TMC where I train, said, hey, this place has open mats. This place has open mats. But there was also this idea of like, well, I'm going to go in after like 3 months and it's an open mat and I'm not paying for it and all that. So anyway, man, long story short, like it's Mother's Day this year, bro. And I'm starting to do this retrospective on Mother's Day, a day for my wife, right? She's going to laugh when she sees this. But like, I'm realizing so many things in my life have become not right. So many areas have been slipping because I did not have jiu-jitsu. Right. And when I had jiu-jitsu and when I had all these other guys that I was in this academy with, like I was challenging breathing, fighting on my back, which was never natural to me. Like that's another thing. People
not for anybody
don't feel good about being on their back and knowing that like the only way to master that is to do it and to feel uncomfortable and actually pressure tap. White Belt Tears has all these funny memes about my grandpa watching me from heaven, pressure tapping every match. And it's all, but like I knew. And so I'm doing this retrospective and I texted Val. He was doing security at his church at the time. He goes, hey, brother, I'll call you back. We talked for like 2 hours that afternoon. And my wife was out somewhere else. So for everybody telling me, why were you talking to your professor about jiu-jitsu on Mother's Day? Like it was something she knew too I needed to do. So I went the next day, did the free trial. I signed up. We were able to make it happen financially. And since I've been back at TMC, been there for 4 months now, not one training related injury. And I think that's because I've been coming in with the right mindset. I've also been really vocal with my training partners too. And they know, like, so we're doing hard rolls at the end of class. And I'm like, what would you do in this moment? And so I've got purple belts and blue belts and brown belts saying, here's what you need to think. Here's the first thing you need to think when you're in this position. You need to re-guard, right? You can pull half guard right now, but it's like your legs are shut off. They're like these limp noodles. So like now I'm troubleshooting all that stuff, right? Yeah. But since I've gotten back, like, and this is why as much as I can help it, I'll never drop it ever again. Things off the mats are different now. Like I'm galvanizing discipline in other systems of discipline in my life. And that is, I know, well-traveled ground, but for me, like my why was as simple as like, I knew I couldn't fight under duress. And then also too, I know all the other benefits. Like we're all laughing together. We're all struggling.
It trickles into everything in your life.
Yeah, and Val, he was there for me. He would, again, you know how Jeremy was checking on you? Val was checking on me through that whole layoff, dude. Yeah. He was checking on me. At one point, he lost my number, found it again, apologized. Is like, but like the brotherhood that I have with those guys I train with at Brazil Academy, and then a lot of them being at TMC now, it's like, man, these are friendships. Like I'm pretty sure these have a high possibility of lasting for life. Yeah, because this struggle that we're all in, it really unites us.
Oh, of course.
And I know it's been talked about before, but like the diversity that you get on the mats, I mean, the only place where you can meet lawyers and vice presidents of sales and Army Rangers.
All races.
And dude, people
woman,
from Brazil,
man.
people from Africa, people from Europe, like people from Canada. You know, it's the only place. And when we're on the mats, we're all the same.
I always tell everyone
You
it's
know?
like an underground society. Like it's like a underground. I don't even know, like a whole different world.
I think it's thinking man's fight club, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I've arrived to, is like, it's our wits that make us men. You know, that quote from Braveheart, like you have to solve so many problems in jiu-jitsu.
I try to tell people that all the time. I'm like, just go try it. You know, you usually get like 3 or 4 classes for free, you know, just go
a whole week typically, or
just
2 weeks.
Go try it out, you know?
Yeah.
And it's going to suck in the beginning. Just embrace it. Embrace, like what Jocko says, embrace the suck. People can laugh about all these people and think it's corny now, like, oh, the Jockos, the Rogans. How many people have they fucking helped? You know what I mean? I'm one of them. I don't know about you guys.
Possibly millions.
You know?
I think it's in the millions.
That's what I'm
at this
saying.
point.
There's a lot better people out there. I'm not saying everybody that does jiu-jitsu is a great guy. I've met some assholes. But, you know, it's like, but a majority.
They're the exception, too.
A majority are good people, man. You know, like my fucking coach, John Monk, man. Like he fucking...
He's the one with tattoos on his face, right?
Yeah, all over. And you would think... And the guy... He's like so open with me and told me all his wrongs and his rights but man, he's such a good dude, and jiu-jitsu changed his life, man. You know, and the way he treats his students and treats his academy and and even me. I mean, the dude's invited me into private lessons with him, with the Marcelo black belt, you know, like that costs, I'm sure, a pretty penny, you know, and he's allowed me to come in and train and adjusted hours to help for me, and has even offered to pay for a tournament for me, you know, when I didn't have the money, or gives me a free shirt or something and I've seen him do that for many people, you know what I mean? And just to see stuff like that, you know, and it's that tribe we were discussing.
Big time, bro.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's always pretty. There is gym drama that happens and stuff like that, just like in the daily world. Yeah, but you navigate it. You figure it out. You learn from it, and you know you try to find a solution, just like you would on a mat. You know, when you're getting fucking fucked up, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And bear with you, bro. Like, I have watched some of your stories lately when you get on these like rants of like, it's 5:40 a.m. You
I
think
love how
I
you
want
talk
to
on
be
the phone
here?
too. I can't do that.
Like
this guy's fucking great at it.
Dude, he
cracks me up when I'm at work.
Epic dude, right? And so like for you have been so vocal about this whole journey, bro. And for you, like, I mean, obviously we talked about our why and why we started and what we're getting out of it, dude. Please, like, tell us yours too.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you do it before?
So I didn't do jiu-jitsu, but when I went from elementary school to junior high, from junior high to high school, the high school I was going to, the coach was like renowned for just choosing 22 players and only playing them. And it was a feeder school, so a lot of people were pouring in. And I was like, man, I just don't want to like compete with that. And then
what sport was that?
It was football.
Oh, okay, football.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up playing football.
Yeah, you look like you got a size of a football player.
And then so then I was getting my hair cut at the same place ever since I was a kid, and next door was an Aikido school. And so one day we went, and I was like, Mom, I want to go to the Aikido school. So we like walked in, and it's like traditional Aikido. They're in like the hakama dress and like they're doing rolls. And it was a form of Aikido called Shinwa Taido, which is like a little more militarized, and it's a lot more around like wrist locks and joint locks. And so it was this weird blend, and I was in that up until college. I actually black belted in it. And and it was just an amazing, I attribute a lot of my childhood staying what you would call like the narrow path because of that school and because of my sensei, who he was only probably 10 years older than I was, but man, he was like just at that rate where like you see him as like an adult, but he's not like your dad. So I just like had this admiration for him that just poured out. And so I did that. And then when it got into college, that school, like most martial arts, like dwindled and kind of just fell out of being able to hold a lease or being able to get people to meet at a gym, you know, where it was like free because one of the guys worked there or something. And so I stopped and then grew up, got married, had a couple kids, and it was like the universe just started like slowly ringing the jiu-jitsu bell. It was like all of a sudden I was, you know, it was in a podcast, or all of a sudden like we were watching MMA and like somebody got submitted and they're like, oh, he got submitted because of this and this, and his jiu-jitsu is really strong and stuff like that. And then it just kind of like ringing louder. My wife came home from this like co-op meet and she was like, yeah, this other guy was here. He had a jiu-jitsu shirt on. I asked him about it and he told us about the school we go to now, Gracie Baja in Overland Park. And then my boys hit an age at like 7 and 9 and I was like, let's do it. And so we jumped in full force, and it's just been, I mean, I say on those reels all the time, I'm like, jiu-jitsu's out here saving my life. I can feel it saving my life. You know, there would be like decisions or not the progress that is required for the end goal that I have in mind that would happen if jiu-jitsu wasn't here.
Yeah.
And it's here, and I can feel it. You know?
Yeah, because when we say because I agree too, I feel like it saved mine as well. And
I literally have it on my shirt, on the back of this shirt.
Yeah,
and I love Trap. I have a lot of Trap gear too,
For sure.
even though their customer service sucks. Sorry, Trap, but yeah, I had to deal.
You can
Dude,
fix that.
Yeah,
you can fix that.
Yeah, they pissed me off one time because I bought some shorts and I have a ton of their shit. I have a bunch of rash guards. I'll show you guys when you guys leave.
I want to see your trap collection.
I've got I've bought so much shit from that company. And one time I remember the very first shorts I bought, I tried to contact them. I sent them like 6 emails, 6 DMs, like on Instagram, and I was just like, God,
I think it's the one guy, bro.
I think it's a small company, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. But I love their shit so much. I'm just like, I don't even care if their customer service sucks.
Right.
Like
So-
their gear is so good.
Yeah,
so.
jiu-jitsu saved my life, though. You were going to go on that before I...
No, yeah.
I
Well,
interrupted.
it's like in
Yeah.
it's in a way of literal for some, depending on, you know, who the person is. But it's also, like you said, in different stages of like, it saved my life in career or with family or with friends or whatever it may be. It just made you a better person. You know, and it's hard to explain other than trying to tell people, well, it gives you discipline. You know, you're doing something very difficult. I mean, you're basically assimilating murder on each other every fucking time you go to the gym.
I fucking love it.
Yeah, and so it sounds
We need
weird.
to have a primal violence in our life.
Yeah,
bro.
it sounds
like we've
weird.
got to.
You have
we
to.
have to be
Yeah,
wrestling,
especially
with
as
people.
men. You have to, and
Yep.
I don't, and people will hear this that have not done it, and they'll be like, these guys are fucking weird. I get it.
We are.
we are.
We're the
for
right
one.
kind of weird.
Yeah, for one.
Yeah.
But when I used to watch this shit, or like when you said you used to watch MMA and you'd hear all these people talking about submissions and this position and this position, you're like, what the fuck? It's like a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're in it, you're like, oh, fuck, man, this is fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And it just, everything. I mean, the confidence it builds in going to work when you're dealing with tough situations, when you're dealing with people that are fucking tough at times, you know how to handle that. The confidence, it just bleeds into everything. And people may be like, well, don't let your ego, you know, your jiu-jitsu is not always going to work. That's not what I mean. I just mean it builds, it gives you a good foundation to stand straighter, to stand upright more, to not feel so where these tough situations in life are so foreign to you. You know what I mean? Because you're doing something very difficult. It may look like we're just rolling around crazy on the fucking floor, but we're not. And it's difficult for you to understand that because you don't know what we are doing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different steps that are happening in that 5-minute roll that you don't know, you don't see, you don't understand.
I mean, down to a scientific, like biological level.
Amen.
It's like shaping your mind, and it's causing your hormones and your biology to align. But you see it, and I saw it when I did Aikido. On the back half of that, it's like you get to a place where you put all the aggression on the mat, And so you have a peace in life that aggression doesn't like, that hum doesn't like carry with you into your work or into your relationship with your partner or into whatever it is. And you can see it like when you see brown belts or above, you're like, dude, these guys are and women are some of the best people. So like our professor at Gracie Baja in Overland Park, him and his wife are the two professors there. And we went in and they have a kids class. And so my kids are in it. And it's busy, man. They probably get 18, 20 kids a class. And it's usually like 2 to 3 coaches. So they're all going crazy. And you see these kids come in, they're like tired from school. They're hopped up on sugar. They've got, toxic overload from their Tide Pods. And so it's like all these things, you know what I'm saying? But they get in there and they're just like not
Tylenol kids.
Yeah. What you would not call like the best behaved. And he is just so patient. And like he understands that he's not here to critique them. He's not here to for that kid to hit that move perfectly. And he coaches, and they maybe do it and they maybe don't. But then it's like, hey, good roll and high five. And it's just like, to have that sort of patience, I admire it. And I know he's only got to deal with it for an hour with those kids. But then I go home and I'm like, okay, I want to emulate that. When it's bedtime and I'm stressed out and I'm at the end of my day and I'm kind of annoyed at my wife and I'm annoyed at the people at work and stuff like that. Like there's just no reason that should ever come out on my kid. And it's just not good for my kid's future for that to come out. And it feels like when I'm doing jiu-jitsu consistently 2 to 3 times a week, it's like that kind of dissipates.
Dude, no, I know what you mean on that, dude.
Yeah.
Because I was and I'm not saying I'm perfect now, but I was fucking dick when I was in my 20s, dude. Didn't know how to control my aggression, didn't know how to control my temper, didn't know how to control my patience. And ever since I fucking did this shit, and like when I started in 2019, made me it took years, way better person now. I'm more, and granted, I'm getting older as well. I was a very young parent at the time. But man, if I know for 100% fact, if I would have had jiu-jitsu in my life at a younger age, I would have been a better parent. I would have been a better husband. I would have been a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can't go back, but my whole thing is now it's like, I'm no longer going to hold myself in the shackles of what I was. I'm going to now create a better person for the future, and Dude. This is the way. Every man, I know, I hate feeling this way because I know if people are watching this, they're probably rolling their eyes, which I don't care. But really, if I could push something onto you, is do something like this. Like it doesn't have to necessarily be jiu-jitsu, but some sort of combat martial art,
some outlet,
something to let that out. Because when I was in my 20s and I was just drinking and smoking and doing drugs and shit and going partying, it didn't help. It made shit worse. And I'm not saying you can't have a good time. We're fucking having some drinks now, but it's earned. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And, comfort's a slow death, right? I know it's said ad nauseum in warrior culture, and like guys were all associated with.
And an addiction.
What?
Comfort.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
You're
and
right.
So, everybody seeks ways to escape their problems. And when you're in a martial art or a combat sport or something else, like I know buddies who do rock climbing, and man, that is so hard. But like, if you have a battle to fight, and this is why I swear by the morning classes too. Like, I say do jiu-jitsu when you can, but when you are choking and getting choked out, or somebody put an armbar on you and now your elbow's messed up for the first part of the day, like everything after that seems so much easier. And it's eating the frog, dude. And that's another thing. Like I know we've talked about this, but like I don't think all violence is bad. Like I think we have to understand violence. Violence has to have a place, the right place, and it's got to be on tap for the good guys.
What do we say about guns?
A lot of things.
No, but what do we say about them? It's not about the fear of guns. It's not about it. You shouldn't fear them. You should learn them.
Oh yeah,
you should understand them.
Fear,
you should
knowledge.
Train them.
Oh yeah.
The same with violence. Instead of I don't want to fight. No, you should learn to
the bully's
fight.
gonna come. That's the thing about it is like I've told my daughters, like my daughters know somebody grabs them, somebody starts hurting them. my instruction to them is like, you hit them back as hard as you possibly can,
Right.
because like, you know, the bully's going to come. Like the problems are going to come in life. It's not about if, it's about when. And so I also too, I'm not saying like be prepared for a fight all the time, have your butt puckered up all the time, but like,
well, shit, I think
just understanding.
But you should be
and
situationally
practicing
aware.
it. You have to practice something if you expect to be good at it at a moment's notice.
Right.
You have to practice it.
You have to, and I think what fucks people up most of the time is that they think of they think too of the bigger picture instead of looking at kind of the smaller details. So when they think of this stuff, they're like, "Well, now I got to train jiu-jitsu. I got to learn how to use a gun. I got to learn how to be. I got to learn how to
get the whole list.
Wilderness.
Survival.
Yeah, survival shit. Like I have to know all of
Yeah.
this. It's like, no, dude. Start with one.
You start.
It's like working out.
just
It's like
start.
people overthink working out. They're like, I got to get new workout clothes, and I got to get protein, and I got to get creatine, and I got to get a pre-workout, and I got to get this workout plan and pay for this training. Just buy 2 dumbbells.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just start small first.
Absolutely.
And then start to build up. You know what I mean? I'm not a fucking the gun nut, you know, the badass. You know more about guns than I do, you know? You've probably trained way more than I have. But like, start with one, you know, like you do jiu-jitsu or go train with guns or go learn wilderness survival. Pick one of these things, but don't know nothing.
Yeah.
That's where you're fucking
It's
up
a great
at.
way to get eaten
You just-
alive.
Yeah,
If you know more about statistics on grown men that throw a football around and nothing else, that's all you know, that's fucking insane.
That's a problem.
And I'm not ragging on dudes. And I know guys have, you guys are always ragging on football. You watch UFC. Like, yeah, I enjoy UFC. I also do other shit, you know?
Yeah.
And now if you go watch football and do other shit, then I would be like, cool. But if you just come home from work and you sit down and it's ESPN, and then it's Sunday or Saturday college football, and it's Sunday NFL, and then that's it.
You go back to work.
And you go back to work. Like, okay, if you're a good guy and you that's what fills you, blah blah. Okay, but I'm gonna push here and say you're probably lying.
If that person was your friend, you would do that. Right?
Yeah.
And I would say that
What you
like
got?
that is kind of what you're touching on is that like curiosity is a lost art. Like people stop learning after they get out of school and then they don't ever learn anything anymore.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like from that perspective, you need to go to jiu-jitsu. You should be doing jiu-jitsu. But if you're out there and you have something you're interested in, learn more about it and then learn something else.
Yeah.
And I posted something just the other day about like you have to push your mind. And I say this when I talk about jiu-jitsu on my reels, but like you have to continually put your mind in uncomfortable situations and then learn things to proficiency. Like learn something to where you're proficient at it. You don't have to be the master. You don't have to be like the guy who wins the champ. You know what I'm saying? You just learn something and then be proficient at it.
Yep.
And then learn something else. And honestly,
You'd be the shade tree surgeon.
yeah, honestly, most of the time when you learn something and you get to proficiency, it builds that curiosity that you then find a natural interest in something else.
Mm-hmm.
You go, oh yeah, well, I kind of want to know about that. You know, it was like when I was learning about security growing up in the career and it became an interest that I was learning in and I started to get to proficiency in it. I was like, well, I want to know about microcontrollers. I want to know how electricity works. I kind of want to know about weather, you know, and the weather leads me to know about other places in the world. And so it's like this chain of just curiosity letting you take yourself to other places, you know?
That feels like a good kind of segue too into why we do, like we've talked about why we do jiu-jitsu, right? But like the world, right? And like why it's important for more people to have like discipline and facing hard things, because obviously it's not getting any easier, right?
Right.
And so the last 3 weeks alone, right? The amount of information and world events that have been coming at us in our feeds and dominating like quiet whispered conversations at school or at work or whatever. Like I've always found, and jiu-jitsu is part of this too, but I've found like I can keep a level head amongst all this stuff where I see other people panicking.
Right.
And so I feel like, I don't know, bro, like, you know, you're the host, bro, like take us there. But like, how do you think that translates into what's going on in the world right now.
Like, how does what?
Just we've been talking about take on new challenges, challenge yourself, be a better father, be a better husband. We've talked about the importance of like our habits and our, keeping our wits about us, right? Doing hard things. I guess I'm trying to make it a segue, but the more I talk about it, it's not a segue, but the last 3 weeks, right? So we have had, the Carlie Kirk thing is huge, right?
Yeah.
There's also been all this stuff coming out about AI. There are more people now panicking about their jobs because of AI than I think even in the beginning, like 2023, right? And so I've had conversations with my wife about these types of things. And for us, it goes to how strong our relationship is together. We'll be celebrating 21 years of marriage this December.
Congrats, man.
It is our faith in God, right? It is the fact that we have core principles in our life that are the bedrock, and that's what keeps us solid no matter what's happening. Also, we went through COVID together, right? And so there's been a lot of stuff lately that feels kind of like that to me.
Right.
And so, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I have found sanity in my relationships with like-minded people too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like our chat, we were planning for this conversation. We've been dropping in videos and memes and all that kind of stuff. It's like it is so good to be seen. What's that?
I was just thinking about them. They got me laughing.
Yeah. Like it's so good to be known and seen deeply by other dudes who see what I see.
I always forget you go to Baja. I'm about to start dropping Baja memes in there.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've run across those on Instagram.
I know.
Hey, check. Good thing we're recording this conversation.
So next time I go to Open Mat, they're going to try to fuck me up.
I kind of went in a bunch of tangents there, bro, but
no. Hey, but the AI thing, I do want to talk about that, though, because I feel like, is that kind of in your wheelhouse? Or?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said 2023, but I remember when Andrew Yang came on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they were discussing how, I don't know if you guys know who Andrew Yang is. I think he ran.
Very familiar.
It was like
New York.
Yeah, he did run.
2020 is when he ran. Did he run for president or?
Was he he's a Republican, yeah?
No, he's a Democrat. Yeah, he's maybe a progressive. I don't know. But regardless, he was the one who came on Rogan and said that he sees that AI is going to be pretty much filtering out a majority of jobs for people. Semi-truck drivers, because we got self-driving vehicles.
Amazon's probably going to go full automated. They've
Amazon,
talked about it.
engineers,
automated factories, automated trucks, drones.
So many different. Possibly a manager. I mean, you never know, programmers, like all these different machinists, like these positions could start to be filled by AI technology, and especially in I don't know how far along robotics and stuff have, developed, but I know at the show that they have at IMTC, I think it's called in Chicago, I want to say they have that show, but like I've seen robotic arms and they're just like, literally picking up things, big blocks of material, loading them into pallets, and boom, and machine runs, and part spits out, and you don't need a machinist anymore. I mean, I've seen them at a company I used to work at out in Olathe, Horizon out there. They've got a big robotic arm that comes and grabs tools and puts tools in I think it was putting in tool pots or the actual I can't remember. But like, so these things are starting to trickle in. And at some point, we're going to see a lot of people out of jobs here. I don't know when.
But I got some thoughts, but I'll sprinkle them in. I want to hear what Bear and you have to say, and I've got some hope. I got some dystopian thoughts, but
for sure.
But yeah,
I know that AI is, man, it's so easy to talk about from a extremist, like doomsday.
Right.
I feel like we were almost programmed. Like the 90s and early 2000s were like, we're going to get these kids to fucking believe that when AI hits, it's going to be Terminator.
Right,
we're all just waiting for the day that, he comes back.
Skynet comes back,
right. But I think there's probably, it's kind of like tide, right? There's like tide levels to it. So it's going to wash up and it's going to wash out a lot of, the automated tasks are going to wash out a lot of office jobs probably first before they start to wash out like physical jobs. You know what I'm saying? And that's to say if it can get there. I really think I was just listening today about an article that talked about that we're having a little bit of an issue, and the thing that some of the big players are worried about, like Google and Meta and stuff like that, when it comes to AI, is powering it. Like, we don't have enough infrastructure in our power grid to get to where they're kind of selling already that we're going to get to with their glasses and with their, you know, their world and the things that are going to, you know, these AI, what would be like clients that you put into your industry's systems, and then they handle all of your things. Like, yeah, they're selling it, and it's like, ooh, that's good, but it's going to come a day that we're capped on it, because we just don't have the power to push it through. Because when you think about those things in your industry where it's like taking over jobs, or it comes in with some new automated software as a service that you pay monthly for, and it's now handling tasks that you were supposed to do, that's all running back physically to a server. And a server is just another name for a computer. So somebody's got a computer in a warehouse in Arizona, and they have 5,000 computers. And those are all just leased out so that the software that you use can pay that computer to harbor all of its information and data, which takes electricity and heat to keep into place. And then it has to go over cables to get to you.
Well, that's the big debate right now with the whole data centers being opened up here up north. Up in, I think they're open in Smithville, I think, up in Missouri. Okay. About 25 minutes away from here. That's in all over, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it's affecting people that live near them. I heard it's affecting power grid systems, water.
Yeah.
Also all sorts of resources. Yeah. And I mean, is it because we don't have the information to understand that they are fully capable of, we have enough for it, or are they just like kick the can down the road and let somebody else deal with it 10 years later?
Yeah. Amazon literally, didn't they buy that nuclear power plant to power one of their AI data centers?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what it
and I hear nuclear's a lot more cleaner than...
It's come so far, and I think Oliver Stone did a documentary. I've been meaning to watch it, but like...
What was that called?
I can't remember what it's called, but you figure the bad rap that nuclear's gotten from like Chernobyl and like... was it Fukushima?
Yeah.
You know, and so I feel like, we're going to have to reckon with that. Other interesting thoughts of AI that I've had recently is like, you know, for project management, I actually don't think it's going to take that job anytime soon, because I think if you use
client relations,
if you use AI to augment all the mundane manual tasks, you become like a superhuman, right? And project management's always going to require relationships, trust, all that stuff. And that's typically the lens I'm trying to take with AI, is like I'm using ChatGPT to do things that for like idea generation, proofread stuff. I actually have used it to take a bunch of information from emails, put it into a spreadsheet, grab rows, cells, codify information. So I've been using it to do some good, but you know,
is it called Lula?
Lula for what?
The Oliver Stone documentary?
I don't know. Huh. I don't think so. But you know,
Nuclear Now film. That's what I see now on the official website.
That might be it.
Yeah, maybe.
He has been advocating for it. But like, you know, the data center thing, I know that's a concern. I know there's, you know, towns where people say they can hear the hums and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like it's got to be.
I mean, is this something to glance over? Because you remember when we were fracking a lot, like, and people were saying their water was coming out.
That's kind of where I was going with this.
Lighting
is
on
like
fire and shit?
When you don't really try to control or regulate this stuff, which all the big guys have already said, like, it's terrifying what could happen by 2027 with AI and all this stuff. I think there's a lot to this theory that AI is being discovered, that we are not creating it. There's been those stories about when the AI figures out it's going to be shut off, it starts rewriting its programming, you know, to protect itself.
Yeah, I've seen Rogan talk about that.
And I do believe too, like I've equated this is my own understanding of these theories, because more and more of these researchers are coming out and saying, I think we're actually uncovering AI, that it's some sort of intelligence or whatever. You know, if you think about electricity has always existed, but we started figuring out how to harness it when Thomas Edison came around in Tesla, right?
Edison was a cheat.
Yeah.
Right. Like the theories about the pyramids and how they built them and how these civilizations were so much more advanced than we are in other ways. So they think they use sound and water and some sort of mixture of chemicals to do things. And I just go, man, I just go back to that whole thing of like, there's nothing new under the sun. I feel like there's just a way where we are figuring out how to uncover it. And
like it's a conscious within electricity.
Maybe it's our consciousness, bro. Have you thought about that? Like, because it's all the concern with all these companies is like, you need to find out what the contract says, because if you're going to give them your company's data, you want to make sure they're not training their AI models on your data.
Yeah.
And so there's actually clauses in some of these contracts where it's like, we will not use your data to train our own AI models. And it's like, I feel like once you start talking about that, it's like we've already kind of lost our grip on control of this. So either perspective of like, if we are creating AI, like how are we able to create it at this like scary level where it has been exponentially growing in its influence and its behavior? And then on the other hand, if we're discovering it, like, I think about when I got my ham technician license, right? Learned about radio waves. And like how there's different levels of, you know, the Earth's atmosphere and they all carry radio waves differently. And I'm like, we didn't invent radio waves. We figured out a way to use them, right? We figured out a way to use frequency, to use weather. And so I think there's something to that, but this is just a layman.
I've heard people even argue that, you know, kind of when you're looking out of your eyes, I mean, isn't that all supposed to be frequencies anyways?
Frequencies of light.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. And what is AI? You know what I mean? Like when we say AI, what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, unfortunately, that term has been so diluted. That you put it into everything that like, and that especially in the physical security industry, like for a long time now they're actually getting into that sphere of actual AI, but they were using it to say, oh, it has AI. And it's like, well, that is just a computer analytic.
Because to me, to like a normie, when I think of AI, I just think of like a ginormous supercomputer that is able to harness vast amounts of information. But like, what is it? Like, what makes that different than
it's like
any other computer?
It's like Tron, man. It's like one day I got in, you know, like there's a grid out there. And that's what we're
Daft
discovering.
Punk soundtrack right now, bro.
But how is it starting to become, like when you hear Rogan discuss like, oh, I've read that it's becoming self-aware and all this stuff. Like, what does that even mean? Like, how does that even happen? Like, you know, because isn't code all zeros and ones? And like, who's writing it for it? How is it writing itself? How the fuck does that even...
Did we create code? Right?
Yeah.
Or did we discover a way to harness it? Like, is the universe made of zeros and ones? It's made out of atoms.
That is
true.
You start doing quantum research, it's like, oh,
essentially
crap,
it is,
bro.
because zero and ones are just electricity. So a zero says the computer is giving no electricity. A one is saying the computer is giving electricity. And it's in such a micro form that you could, only the computer can detect it. And so it has to give a strand of zeros and ones that would go from here to the farthest reaches of the universe to say, open up Facebook. But because it can detect that and give it so quickly, it can just do it, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's like voodoo.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I need to do. I need to go down like a YouTube rabbit hole on how the fuck all that works. I'm sure I would not be able to understand it, but it's so fascinating, man. That there's just people out there that are just creating this shit.
I like the idea that we're discovering it.
Well, it's funny because, like, if you think about it, like...
I never thought of that idea, actually. That's kind of crazy you brought that up.
Oh, yeah, and I learned it from the interwebs, right?
Right, yeah.
But if you think
you
about
learned it from it.
Exactly.
It's teaching you. It's molding you.
But like, bro, if you think about like, okay, Facebook's giving people $1 million bonuses and stuff. It's like these researchers, like, are they just like glorified archaeologists? Like, honestly, like, because they're figuring out ways to harness this, right? And we all know, like, there's people who post these prompts of how to tell ChatGPT to not use emojis and not use, you know, this dumb font that it always uses. And it always seems to put things in bulleted lists. They're figuring out how to talk to it, right? There's just some times where, man, it almost feels like it's a child and we're trying to teach it how to be a functioning adult. It's really weird. But like, the thing that I'm noticing from these guys who are saying that it's being discovered and that we're not creating it is that they're people who are deeply involved with it. It's very similar to like astrophysicists, like just giving up and saying, yeah, this universe couldn't have been made with a big bang. And if it was God. You know, there's just people like when they get so close to a subject, they eventually like they break down all of their previous beliefs, right? And they have to put their hands up and say, I actually don't understand this. And I think that's part of what we're figuring out, bro. And that's why nobody has a clear roadmap. And that's why you hear like the Elon Musks and the Sam Altmans and all these people, they go on these podcasts and they like pause when, you know, the interviewer asks them if they're terrified of the future.
Yeah.
You know,
did you watch Peter Thiel's interview?
I did. I watched part of it, and you had sent us something. Yeah,
That dude freaks me out.
Very curious.
I don't like him. I don't know why. He just gives me creepy vibes. I don't know if he gives you. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen much from him, just a little bit, so I don't really have
like
good
when
context.
What was it that they
him,
asked him something about human beings and whether or not Julian, do you remember that interview? It was a while back.
If we were like worth it or something, or if we were valuable.
Valuable to human life.
And he was like,
and it took him a while to try to figure that out. And there was like thousands of fucking
you get these guys that
it.
like, I feel like we call them smart people, right? Like, he's so smart, but it's like, okay, but I could find a guy who's into Warhammer, you know what I'm saying? and ask him
like Henry Cavill.
And be like, yeah, yeah, exactly. And be like, yo, tell me, are the Space Marines like more valuable than they should be? And it'd be like, well, I mean, you have to think about the lore in this like one specific book that was written in North Carolina. You know, and so like you would be like, this guy's, you know, way too into this. And when I see Peter Thiel's and stuff like that, I'm like, he's just too into it. He like can't answer it because he's thought too hard about it. You know,
well, at least you know where it derives from. Tylenol babies, right?
Yeah.
These are all just Tylenol babies, dude.
Bro.
No shade on Warhammer. I've played a few rounds,
dude,
but
Tylenol, don't sue me, all right? I'm just joking. What is it called? Acetaminophen. Okay, I hope I said that right. Yeah,
and
stop saying Tylenol.
Warhammer Space Marine 2 is lit, dude. I love that game. I absolutely love that game. But you know, just about the whole AI thing, it's like,
well, this is the race of our generation, right?
It's
like
the arms race.
Kind of the moon race of the moon.
Oh yeah, or the race for the first nuclear bomb. Like
they just can't lie about this one.
Yeah, they can't.
Dude, it's getting so hard for people to lie.
We don't know fucking. We probably only know surface level shit.
Right? We absolutely only know surface level shit.
But then I don't know. But then we talk about the Charlie Kirk stuff and how much the FBI fucks things up. It's like that's a pretty top tier organization.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you get people like knowing something as specific as AI to its, you know, deepest core, it's like it's not as big as the FBI. It's like 6 people. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And 6 people can keep a secret.
That is true.
You know?
Think it's only 6?
Nah, I'm just.
But it's a small number.
Yeah. I'm saying it's a
and a majority of those people
circle.
We've never probably seen on TV.
Yeah.
Those are the actual people, the brains of the operation.
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely, man. The brains, the hands, the feet.
30
You'll never hear about
clearances
them
and shit. Yeah,
for sure.
Bro. What was that one guy that Rogan had on that reverse engineered the element? What was it called?
Dark matter element or something.
The alien
80s?
dude. Yeah.
The fucking, at Area 51?
Yeah. He was at Area 50, whatever. It wasn't 51. It was another.
It's weird.
Area.
It's like Element 452.
Yeah,
or element
he reverse engineered it. And so it's like that type of deep level shit. Like there's a bunch of those guys. I've always wondered how the hell at those Area 51s, 52s, whatever, how are they able to keep these people just like under wraps, like to not say anything?
Well, the oversight committee, I think they've talked about fear. You know, like people are just terrified, bro. And you know, they're terrified of what people think of them. Also, I'm guessing if you're in one of those sort of programs, like there's an understanding, like, bro, if you
and they know everything about you.
If you leak this, like, you'll never have a job again, you know, or whatever.
Well, I've heard even the Honeywell security clearance, like they go to your fucking neighbors and interview them. They'll go to family members. Like when you apply at Honeywell,
that might be TS1, like
they do a
top
deep,
security,
deep dive. I heard on security clearance wise. I don't know whether or not they do it on just the CNC machinists that they hire. I have no idea. Sure. I actually got pretty high up in that interview when I did apply there. I got up to an in-house interview, but I never got past that.
Sure.
So I have no idea, but I've heard, just talks on the shop floor of guys who used to work there and guys but I've even heard at some of these, I had a buddy, he was actually on the show, Andy. I mean, he's talked about those guys that work in some of those areas, those Area 51 type places where, they go and they board a fucking airplane that's all blacked out and they get flown in and they work and then they leave, and that's their commute to work every day.
That makes absolute sense.
Yeah, and it's that, but that's, I mean, could you?
Well, like,
I'd be freaked out. I couldn't do that shit.
So, like, here's where I don't work for the CIA because I know nothing about their onboarding process, but the level of security. Yeah. Do you know the level at which, like,
you do know if you work for the CIA, you have to tell me, right? No,
absolutely.
Remember when they used to say that about
not at
cops?
his clearance level?
Yeah.
I know.
CIA ain't gonna do shit.
But dude, it's like if you think about the level of what security means now, right? You can't even have a Facebook profile anymore. Like you can't even have an Instagram. I'm sure as a cost of being part of like deep research and things that you just can't let the public know about because you have to have operational security or informational security. There's choices that those folks have to make, bro. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want a public life anyway. So, I care about this work. And you talked about like being all about the one thing. There's just people out there. It's like that guy that has been on all the shows about cloud seeding. It's like he's obsessed with that.
I watched a little bit of that so on he's the guy, Sean Ryan. Yeah, he's
the guy to be on that,
And I guess we know what happens when you whistleblow. I mean, look at Julian Assange when he had WikiLeaks. Look at Snowden,
Free Snowden.
Yeah, dude, Snowden got fucked.
Yeah. Man. And you think about the employment contracts those people had, right? And I'm sure those types of engagements of employees like NSA, for example, that's probably gotten like double locked down by now. So who knows, man? All I know, and maybe this is another point, is like I don't really believe much of what I see or read anymore, bro.
I don't either.
Here's the thing that I don't think most of the people I know, I don't think they believe or I don't think they believe it anymore either.
You'd be surprised. I talked to some people that are
bots,
man. They're straight up bots.
They're
just
bro.
Like, yeah, whatever the FBI said, that's what I'm going to go with, man. And I'm just like...
and it feels that way when you're talking to them, too. But, like, there's some people, too, I think they're just afraid to talk about it,
Or maybe it's not even... A lot of people are out of sight, out of mind. They don't fucking care. It doesn't matter until it affects them. I see it a lot when it comes to different conflicts around the world. Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, Russia, dude, all these different nobody fucking cares. It's just like, it ain't in my backyard. It ain't affecting my family. It's dude. Like, not right now, until it does.
Martin Luther King said an injustice to a man in one place is an injustice to men everywhere. Right. There's this idea that like, that's human suffering. And that's another thing too, with like what happened to Charlie and what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Ukraine, these other parts of the world, other places that don't get, 10 o'clock news coverage all the time. Yeah. Like, people in the Malaysian area with all those islands and what they're going through is like
the Congos.
Human suffering, bro. Like, I don't ever want to get numb to human suffering. And I know too, because like I've had moments in my life where I was that guy. I was like, oh, it's not happening here. I don't have the bandwidth to think about that right now. And I've only got so much. And that's where I go to prayer. I go to, all right, well, hey, I got a job to do, so I'm going to go into work, and I'm not going to talk to my coworkers about this stuff right now. I'll save it for a podcast.
Right.
I'll save it for like when I get home with my wife and the kids aren't around, because that's another thing we figured out, man, when COVID was going on, we couldn't talk about current events. We couldn't whisper. We couldn't speak in code. They knew. They could see it.
Yeah.
And so I want to shield my daughters from that for a little bit.
But from how long, though, do you think?
Oh, there's got to be in pieces. Like we talked to,
because I think you should trickle a little bit to children. I think sometimes we shield them too much as Americans.
Well, what I've learned too is like if their friends are going to talk about it at school, I want to talk to them about it first.
Exactly.
So we had the conversation with my daughters about Charlie, bro. Like, and you get to pick as a parent how much you say. But like, that's a reality of what the times our kids are growing up in now, right? Like my daughter, she asked me during COVID, she was 3 years old. She's like, Daddy, why? Why do I have to do this? And man, you're thinking about the way I was thinking about the way I tell my kids so that I'm not lying to her, but then I'm also making sure that when she goes to school, she's focused on school and she's not telling her friends that the world is going to end. Because that's the way I felt on the inside.
Yeah.
I felt like it was all coming down, bro. And it took everything for me to shield my kids from that.
Yeah.
You know, and like my layoff too, it was like, man, they're like, but why would somebody let you go? You know, they couldn't understand it. It's just mean. But like finding a way to talk to them, man. But we've had to pick and choose current events.
I've always wondered if I expose my kids to, I mean, my youngest is my 7-year-old is, you know, she doesn't know anything that's going on. But my 14-year-old's so smart, man. I mean, that girl, you know, she does, you know, she's a normal teenager. So she likes a lot of the dumb shit a lot of the teenagers like, for sure. But when it comes down to it, when we start talking about serious stuff, like she comprehends, she knows, and she gives me a lot of shit a lot of the times for being repetitive about certain issues or certain things to be mindful
I remember
of.
Saying that to my mom and dad too. I know you told me.
I know.
Especially when I was 14.
But it's cool to see once I, like, for instance, when I brought up, you know, school shootings, I'm like, you know, what to be aware of. And I don't even have to say anything anymore because she knows, like, if someone's discussing this, like, I need to let somebody know. And like, I need to always be situationally aware. I need to always know where an exit's at. I need to always, you know, be mindful of what people are discussing around me. You know, stuff like that, like little things. It's nice to see that, I'm being repetitive and it can be annoying, but all in all, it's good information, and you wouldn't have, you know, like kept that if you didn't really understand the climate that we're kind of in, that we've always kind of been. You know, everyone tries to act like that violence is new. Violence has been happening throughout history, you know, for from the beginning of time, and instead of always trying to nerf the world in some weird false way. There's things that we can put in place to be able to protect ourselves, but we can't just like, I don't know, just like act as if it doesn't exist or have these delusional ways of going about it. So I try to explain to my kid these things, and it's like, even when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I showed her the video. I didn't show her the one that was, you know, the blood squirting out. It was blurred, but I wanted her to see, like, look, you can literally be sitting there and having a conversation with people. That's what he's known for, having a conversation. Whether or not you liked what he said, what you didn't like what he said, he's having a fucking conversation. And when I hear people say this whole, well, and I've heard people here say it, I've heard people fucking that I know say it, well, you know, when you talk about shit, you know, stuff could happen. It's like, that's so fucking ridiculous, man. So you're telling me,
talk shit, get shot. I think
talk
is the
shit,
line.
get shot. Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's
like,
asinine.
Yeah, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Now, if this man was working for an organization that was killing people, different story. You know what I mean? Like, then I could see, okay, well, you know, you work for, you know, like the head of a mafia. You know what I mean? Or even, I've even said, I know people like to compare the guy that shot the CEO of the United Healthcare worker.
I won't even say his name, bro.
Yeah,
I don't want to. That's the other thing. I don't want to say their names.
I get that. I see. I don't see correlation between the two, and I don't want people to die. I don't want that at all. But to me, it's two different situations. That man was working for a company who was literally trying not to cover people with the healthcare coverage that they were paying for, and people were dying ultimately from it. You know what I mean? These fucking insurance agencies are real fucking shady. I'm not saying all of them, but there are a lot out there. We've heard all the stories. So to compare that to Charlie Kirk, I think is fucking insane, because this is a man that just went on college campuses and would discuss touchy topics that people didn't really want to discuss, that people would be quiet about, and we really wouldn't get any solution from, when, you know, and we would just ignore. So to say that he deserved that because he decided to push the line or whatever it may be, or to be a little more aggressive about certain topics than what people really wanted to hear, I think is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that would be like saying the stuff I talk about on here, I deserve to get shot. I don't think so. I don't think you guys deserve, if we're talking about something that people don't like, to you should die from it. You know what I mean?
To say another person deserves to die too. Do you you realize like I've had to evaluate that in my own heart as well, and understand if that's a path or if that's an agreement that's going to lead to more of those types of thoughts as well.
Right.
And so I try to guard my mind and my heart, like, somebody that I disagree with, or, they got killed and I'm just like, oh, whatever. That's where I'm checking myself there too.
Yeah.
I'm going, bro,
almost,
I don't ever want to become numb to human suffering.
Desensitized to it. Yeah.
Because everyone, even, that CEO too, is like, man, he had a family. Yeah. These people, dude. Like,
and I've been guilty of it too. Even when that CEO, that guy got shot, I didn't feel much for it. I'm not saying you have to feel anything, but it's still, you should recognize that he was a human being that possibly didn't understand what he was doing, or just made bad decisions. And we ultimately don't want death on anybody. But
I don't wish it.
But I think what pissed me off is that just the comparison. It's two different things.
Yeah.
Two
Context.
different people, two different scenarios, two different situations, and I'm not even a Charlie Kirk. Like I don't align with some of the things that he discussed.
I couldn't remember the last time I saw.
I
one
used
of his
to share a lot
clips
of the
when it
fucking
happened.
memes that were dogging on him because my biggest pet peeve was his support for Israel. That was my biggest pet peeve, and not the country as a whole, the government. You know me. You guys both know me. I'm a libertarian. I have a vast amount of issues with the governments. In the way that they conduct themselves, and the way that they ignore the people that they're supposed to represent, and the way that they commit acts that ultimately end in people fucking dying, And I do believe that Charlie had enough knowledge to understand what was going on. I think a lot of the times that money played a factor, possibly, people in his ear that were giving him the wrong information.
Do you feel like he wavered on it though?
He did. He walked the line on it. I do believe that, because there was a point when Charlie Kirk was discussing many times on different podcasts, he did not like what was going on between Israel and the Palestinians, the bombings, the continued land grabbing, all of this.
Absolutely.
But he went back and forth, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Because I do that sometimes. I think we all kind of find ourselves in that position because we only know what is given to us. We're not out here. We're not journalists in the field. You know, we're having to rely on these, really heroes that go out there and actually do that work, that actually go into these war-torn countries and speak to the people, and organizations like antiwar.com, those type of people, And
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. And like Scott Horton, he's, I don't know if he's a founder of antiwar.com, but he had a 10-hour podcast with Lex Friedman.
I listened to that whole thing too.
It's just like, even though I didn't agree with that, really bugged me about him, I would not wish death upon him.
No.
And to act lax about that and shit, and I just think is wild.
And I think that like Charlie Kirk's death like pulled the rug back a little bit, and we saw that lack of humanity that was maybe living out there.
Yeah.
In the
literally
in the undertow.
Crowd.
Yeah, like it was already out there. Right. In the crowd,
cheering.
Yeah, and we also we knew people. Yeah. Everybody knows a person who posted something ridiculous about play stupid games, win stupid prizes, or something like that. And you're like, it's just,
or all the clips that were baity, where there were 30 seconds of him discussing about a topic, and that's why I made the post I did. And I didn't get to touch on every topic. I mean, I literally made it a day or two after it happened, but then just to continue to see all these clips that are literally condensed into one little soundbite, where it may make him look this way, but then you listen to it, the entire conversation, and you go, oh, I understand why he was discussing the civil rights, and why it may be, and there may be loopholes in there that people can abuse out of that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that, oh, Charlie Kirk hates black people. It's like, are you fucking dumb? I watched that man sit on a stage, literally, that I was laughing because all the groypers are up there giving him shit about the whole Israel and Palestine conflict, but watch that man defend a gay black dude. So you're going to tell me that guy's racist, even though he shared a stage with him and went to bat to defend him? And this is coming from a guy who I didn't agree with some of the things that they were defending, some of the things, some of the conversations that were being had. And so for me to say that, why can't I say that? But people who oppose are on the other side of the aisle can't see that as well. I don't get that.
Know. Yeah,
it's like a football team mindset.
Yeah, but it pulled that back, and we kind of saw it, and it's just kind of this groan in my heart that I had that was like, oh my God, man, you've lost humanity at that point. When you just say that flippantly and you just go about your day, what you're not realizing is that you've lost humanity. And I also had to play a little thought experiment, and I kind of went through some of the what would be, because I don't necessarily ascribe to left or right, but like at his level of right, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that it's a linear thing, it's more of this mix, but at his level, finding comparable people on the other side of the so-called aisle and running that thought experiment to say, if that was them in that chair, would I have flippantly said something? Like, I need to check myself and make sure and just be like, okay, I truly don't believe that I would have, but running this idea inside of me, make sure that if it was so unfortunate to happen, I would respond correctly first.
I love that you did that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like, man, but if anything, I do feel like it is kind of, what am I trying to say? It's kind of like lessened or like zoomed in and seen that the crowd that says stuff like that is actually smaller than it felt like before his death. You know, like the people who would take that reaction prior to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I would have thought that they were maybe more widespread. I wouldn't have maybe thought that they were as concentrated in how they would react to something like that.
Well, how big do you think it is? Do you think it's just polarizing because it's online and a majority of us are online? But in real life, a lot of people don't feel like that?
I feel like now, I mean, in hindsight, seeing it, I'm like, you know what? I think that's like equivalent to 10 out of 100 people. That's it.
There are clues. Right? And
because I see a lot of friends and family on my social media that are sharing shit that, I mean, but granted, I know these people, and I know they don't spend any time. They have never listened. If I was a betting man,
sure,
and if any of them are watching right now, I know you have not listened to an entire hour and a half debate. I know you haven't.
Right.
Because I've been in a lot of the positions that they have. And fortunately, at this time, it's going to change here soon, I've seen the comparison of having a job that requires a lot of your time on the phone, on the computer, with clients, whatever it may be. You don't have the luxury of being a semi-truck driver or a machinist or whatever it may be.
To listen and consume that stuff. Yeah,
vast amounts of content to be able to cross-compare from all different Dude, I listen to guys like Destiny, Hassan Piker, Nick Fuentes, Dave Smith. I listen to all PBD, Joe Rogan. I listen to all different perspectives, okay, from right to left to centered. And you're able to kind of bring, and on top of that, documentaries and books. I mean, fuck, I just read one, In the Fed, you know, like all of these things, and to be able to come up with a good, concrete interpretation of what's being discussed. Most people are getting it from 30-second clips.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But where I think
or from their team.
What Baer's talking about too, though, is like how you think the haters are actually less because of the response, right? And I think there's clues. So just a few little clues. I mean, look at how many people went to that dude's funeral, bro. There were people who flew in. I've heard that there's been a resurgence in new chapters opening up on different campuses and things.
Oh shit! I know 100 and something thousand.
Yeah, and
Turning Points.
Chapters. You got a local paper media place talking about how small a particular gathering was on a campus to try and show that like nobody really cares about this, but also too like
Kansas City Star.
If we look at the people that like were vocal about it. So like I'm stricken by Bill Maher. Obviously he had Charlie on his show, and Bill is one of those sane voices that I kind of like. He's one of my people that I look to get I don't agree, of course, with everything that he talks about. But, you know, like we've talked about, like I have this ability to see both sides that neither side really appreciates.
Yeah.
And so like what he had said, what Gavin Newsom said, Gavin Newsom had Charlie on his show. He was the first person who had the nuts to go on Gavin Newsom's podcast of all podcasts, like his message about how sad it was. Right. And I think Van Jones, whether you trust him or not, but like he talked about that last moment that like, apparently Charlie messaged him a week before he died, like said, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. So there were people who were not afraid to like show up to his funeral or to say like, guys, will you stop? Will you stop like celebrating this guy's death? Like there were people on both sides that reflected. But you know, to your point of like, I feel like they're less like I had one person, there was one person in my circle. My circle's pretty tight too, that had some negative stuff to say. Everybody else either stayed quiet or it was a resounding
support.
Shout of support for Charlie, right? And so like I was looking, bro. I was like, who's gonna open up their mouth? Who's gonna show who they are? Who's going to get ugly in here? And there was one person, and it was super lightweight compared to what I had heard or like some of the stuff that you had shared. I was like, dang, who are these people? Right. So part of it was just like, you know, I don't know that I saw a whole lot of that. I've also, man, the last 2 years, I know it was a tendency in myself to look at the negative. And bro, my wife challenges me on this like almost every day, it seems. She's like, bro, you got to find a way to look for the good. You know, and so it's been really.
But we can't ignore the negative either. I mean, I've seen
there is a balance, though, bro. There's a balance between ignoring and
not over consuming one side. I get that, but my thing is when I'm watching videos of mothers discussing with their children about how happy they are that Charlie Kirk is dead. To me, that's insane.
That's psychopathic.
Yeah, and then I see 200,000 likes, you know, or fucking. I'm like, goddamn, that's 200,000 people.
I wonder sometimes about bots. And that is another element. I'm so glad this came up.
We should talk about this because I've seen a lot in the comment section. There's so many different profiles with no fucking image on it or a fucking animated.
How much of that is a psyop, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's people hiding behind a fake account, or I don't know if it's a bot from Russia.
You talk about. Like, and I'm paraphrasing what you said, but if there are throngs of people that are getting ugly about it, and then you're noticing they're actually less, I'm very curious about that, right? Of like, what are we seeing and how do we know bots exist, right? We know that there's troll farms all over the world that try to incite like political violence in certain areas and try to use it to control or an algorithm that can control people and literally make them pissed about literally anything. And so that's an element too. I constantly am thinking about, I'm like, do I feel like everybody's being negative about it because everybody actually is? Or is there something here that I and no one else can understand that is at play, like bots? Or
how about this? Are they all star 69 guys?
What's a star 69?
Remember when you're on the phone, you hit star 69 and it hid your number? Are these star 69 profiles?
Well, have you ever seen how these troll farms work? I know you have.
I haven't.
It's racks of iPhones.
Oh, really?
Racks of iPhones and Android phones and phones with their own IPs that are attached to users.
But how many of those are there?
Too many.
Is there really?
Bro.
Yeah. And it's weird because you like walk in from the video that I saw.
This is what control looks like.
It looks like your server IT room, right? It's just like a rack. Yeah, it's real servers, clean. Yeah. But then like it got close to it. Probably. It's not a server. It's a rack with like phone.
The services.
Why do they need phones? Why don't they just?
Well, because that's a user. That's a user.
They can't have one computer that has many different IP addresses.
Maybe they could, but it seems more authentic if you have it come from its own phone. Yeah. There's those services like your business. You can pay for likes and friends. Remember that whole thing, bro. And like you see some of these accounts, you're like, man, how did you blow up like that?
Yeah.
And I remember getting ads for that. People sending me, ever since I had the podcast, they're like, hey, I can help you get more followers. And I'm like, you know what, bro? I know exactly what you mean by that. You're not going to help me improve my content or get the audience that I want. You're going to add a bunch of fluff that makes it look like this on the outside. But like, this troll farm thing, bro, this is how like governments can control now, bro. And I know that sounds like crazy conspiracy, but it's like, dude, there are videos out there of people just going down the line, bro, of all those phones, and they're all going off and they're all hooked into one machine. I don't know how they control them, but it's conceivable, bro.
Because it's like there's the theory called the internet is dead. Have you heard of that?
I've heard you say it. You were the first person, and you were sharing examples of it.
Like the dead internet theory that really there isn't much out there that's actually being created by humans. It's just like completely dead. It's just computer creating things. But that's an interesting theory. But I will say also that, I lost my thought too. It's spreading.
You did say a good quote on our chat group, though, that I did want to read out on the Carlie Kirk deal, is that you said they've hollowed out the humanity of a people with no perspective nor remembrance of history. And that's true, man. Like, I mean, literally, like we've seen this throughout history how many times, and then we just forget. It's like we have amnesia, you know, and we just, well, next one. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get, I mean, I do understand, because like, it's like COVID, you know, COVID seems like fucking 20 years ago. Really, it was what? How long ago was that?
Feels like yesterday
4 years
to me,
ago,
man.
Yeah, to me it doesn't.
It feels so fresh.
I feel like it just came and went so fast, but during it, it was so long, you know, so stupid.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, man. It's just it's fucked up. It's creating more division. I just seen this morning that literally the ICE office in Dallas got shot up. I don't know if you guys seen that.
No, didn't see that.
Yeah, it's just, man, all this shit, man. It's just wild, you know.
Yeah, and to expound,
it almost feels like, I don't know, my fucking tinfoil hat, but like it's fucking created, you know. It's kind of like these, you know, it kind of like this Tyler Robinson deal with Carlie Kirk, you know. I talked to a guy, he always remains anonymous. He goes by Post. And we go back and forth all day long about, you know, different topics and stuff. And he was the first one to bring up the accelerationist groups to me, that could be a possibility of what occurred with the Carlie Kirk murder. That there's these groups on Discord that are actually being groomed by intelligence agencies to cause these crazy, you know, I guess, would it be considered a false flag operation? I mean, because it was
that's
intentionally
typically
done.
what a false flag conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's what that falls into.
So that's what he was telling me, and then I actually seen Fuentes talk about it as well, which I was surprised to hear him bring that up. And then I don't know if anybody else has, but you start to see these weird social media groups. And, you know, there's a lot of dark shit that happens out there. I'm sure you've, you know, heard a lot about this stuff. And I think this stuff I think it has always been like this, you know, even before Discord, before these different social media platforms. I think people got together and they tried to figure out, okay, things are going this way. We need to move the chess piece this way. And the chess, I mean, we've seen stuff like that even from back in the JFK and, you know, all the bullshit that came out when they released the redacted files on that. And, you know, a lot of the weird information that it's just throughout history, all of these shootings and all of these weird, you know, especially with the high political or high, what do we call it? Like of higher social status, you know, we'll say it's just odd. Martin Luther King, you know, all these different people, you know, their murders are always, the assassinations, they're always odd. And this one's no different. It's like you got a guy that supposedly got on a roof with a rifle, shot Carlie Kirk, somehow got off with the rifle. And I've watched all the videos and, you know, threw the rifle in the woods and then was, his dad turned him in later on the next day or 2 days later.
Right.
And then it's like, well, but then we're coming out with all these other videos of possibly the shooting could have happened to his right. And then where's the footage behind him? And then who was the old man that's been at all these different events throughout history?
Rebuttal videos. Everybody has a theory. And then there's a rebuttal that wants to debunk that theory.
No, but even like you see a guy cheering in the crowd and looking up as if he knew, like he was a part of this. And then you have the George Zim, whatever his name was, who said he was a shooter and they arrested him. Kind of like a look over here as, you know, the other guy gets away. And then there's supposed to be some guy in a bush that was caught on camera that could have been the shooter. And the entry wound doesn't look right, because usually an entry wound doesn't bleed like that. And, you know, the exit wound is more of what kind of opens up in that. And was it a 30-06 or was it a 223? All these weird.
Yeah, and everybody knows.
You got an FBI director that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Everybody knows a Marine sniper or a medic or somebody who helped them form a theory, you know. And for me, it's like perception is reality too, right? Like that's an element of this. And for me, this is why I say, like, I don't believe much of what I see anymore. And it's not because I'm trying to be an antagonist or I'm trying to challenge, but when I hear you talk about all those facts and stuff, like I've watched all those videos, we shared a few of them. Yeah. It's like, man, it seems to me like nobody actually knows what really happened. And there might be a couple people who actually do, but we're never going to get to hear from them. Yeah,
but nobody knows. You know? But yet the next day we're like, it was a leftist. It was a leftist who's dating a trans. It's like, what? What are we talking about? Who wrote that up? Right? Yeah, like how do we even know that?
How soon?
And then I say that, and I have conservatives that I know that are giving me shit because I'm going against the narrative, I guess. I mean, and I'm like, well, didn't the chat that they released, wasn't that kind of, why would they even release that in an active investigation? It was fucking weird. Some of the verbiage in there was kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like that you wouldn't think would come from a young individual, the vehicle. And there was a couple of other words I've watched a couple of videos on. And
there's always a couple things that like, really are like, okay, but answer this one. You know, you get all that stuff that you listed and you're like, well, some of that, I mean, are you ever really going to know? Or like that would take weeks in an investigation to find out. But like the gun breakdown, and they have a picture of him with a backpack and no gun sticking out of it. Like,
it might have been his leg.
Just describe that. Like, just answer that question. Yeah. Or the chat that you brought up, the text back and forth. Yeah. He said squad car.
Yeah.
Who says squad car?
I know. Some of the verbiage.
I don't know anybody who would text me and be like, look out up here, slow your speed down. There's a squad car. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I didn't see that one.
There was just, and it was like,
oh, that's wild.
You just read through it, and it was the one thing that I was like, he was like, I'm waiting to go back to get the gun. There's a squad car. Squad car.
Yeah. or Charlie Kirk, this was a miracle, and his bones were very dense and stopped the bullet from killing.
Bro,
that was from the autopsy.
That one was just, I
was like,
wild
what?
To me.
Hold on. You're claiming it's a 30-06, and now you're telling me that his bones were dense because he drank enough milk when he was a child, or throughout his whole life.
You believe the ads got milk.
Are we fucking kidding me right now? Are you being serious?
Yeah,
bro.
And then Cash Patel, Jesus Christ, the biggest letdown I have ever seen in the entire time. In my entire life, I've been following politics. I mean, this is a man who said he was going to turn the FBI building into a museum on day one. Didn't do that. Then he said he was going to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. Didn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, now he's like fucking retweeting shit the next day that, the Dallas ICE shooting that just happened at the office. He literally, I heard he just retweeted that day the casings on a floor that say anti-ICE on them. But yet only the detainees were shot from what I've seen. And now this is new, just happened today, so I haven't looked thoroughly. Doesn't make sense. Was he just a bad shooter, or was he targeting the detainees? Why didn't any ICE agents did any ICE agents get shot? It's just all weird.
So here's my question. So like genuine thought, where do you think that something like the inconsistencies within the Charlie Kirk assassination, like where does it end up? Does it just go out into the fog and the mist of every other like catastrophe and situation that we've had to deal with, and then we're on to the next news media outlet?
This is what's going to happen. They're going to trickle out information, a slow drip.
Yes. Not them. I'm saying like the situation as a whole. Like, what are we talking about next year on this date? Do we even really think about it anymore?
No. I mean, other than the fucking Republican Party used his funeral as a fucking pull for gaining more conservatives. I mean, did you see that fucking theatrics? I mean, fireworks fucking going off, and Trump talking about fucking Tylenol and autism and shit, and it's all next year. All it'll be is remembrance of Charlie Kirk, but yet we gained more loyal conservatives for the party that has not done anything for us. I don't know about you guys. I don't feel any different. And granted, it's only how long have they been in there? Fucking since February or whatever, January.
It's been a short amount of time, and it feels like
forever, bro.
So let's say that like when I'm just trying to figure out like what is your thought of like where it goes long term. So let's say we're for Charlie Kirkson now, and day one we don't believe a fucking word that comes out about it. Like how do we cope with things like this happening and then coming out with the range of inconsistencies that we've seen over the last week?
I got a thought. Like, I think this is just the world we live in now. And this is where I get kind of negative and dystopian, is like, it's why we'll never see the Epstein list, right? I think the world
Did you see the Ghislaine list came out?
No,
What?
No, but I'll have to check that out. But I feel like the way of the world.
Hold on, who's on it?
Some senators that have all resigned and got charged.
I heard Thomas Massey drop some names, and then he was like, "There's like a famous athlete, a magician, a senator."
He dropped the banker or whatever.
He did drop one, and then he listed off like a bunch of different positions, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
To close up the thought, though, is like where will we be? Is that I think this is the world we live in now, where like information is so plentiful and there will be other stories.
Yeah.
It's just going to bury it. And most people just don't care. To me, I just, I consistently, bro, go to like, who's in control of my life, right? Like who I can affect change in my household, right? If I can get my household on lock, then I can start talking to my neighbors. If I can get my neighborhood on lock, then I can start talking to my community. That's the only way that I can change. Mm-hmm. And so I have to go to that because, bro, I lost hope in the press like years ago, bro. And to this day, I've never talked about like my voting pattern or whatever, but like I have been, quote, undecided, registered as a undecided voter since I was 18 years old. Because I realized when I was 17, I realized I can't get on board with either of these two wings on the same demon. I just can't. And yeah, I vote with my values. I do. Sometimes I waver with like, is voting a real thing or not?
I waver with that too.
Bro, I just continue to go back. Is like this time next year, yeah, there's going to be another war. There's going to be another crisis. But for me, it's like, dude, Jesus is still king, bro. Like my faith, I have to be faithful. I'm going to continue to stay faithful to my wife and to my children. And I have people that tell me, man, like, I feel so bad for your kids, the world that there is. And I'm like, you can feel bad. I don't feel bad because you know what? I don't believe that like all of our stock is in this world. Right. I just don't. And when I live my life like that, and when I'm centered in like, truth and like what I can control, it makes all of this other stuff so much easier. And it's weird. It's like as I say it, I hear in the back of my mind the voice that says, well, bro, you're like turning a blind eye to this stuff and you're not concerned. It's like, no, like I can engage with information.
Sure.
I just have no illusion that we're ever going to get any resolution on these things.
I know.
And just like, even the JFK assassination, they released a report. I knew everything important was going to be redacted.
Yeah, I know.
I think you and I both were talking about it. We were calling it, right? And so we all get pumped up every 4 years or every 2 years when our person is in and we go, oh yeah, now we're going to show them. But I've said this, there are wedge issues, gun rights, abortion, immigration, all this. They need to keep everybody upset enough to vote for them in the next term. That's why you'll never see
any actual solutions.
You'll never see any actual solutions on what we call wedge issues because those are the ones that rely on this base or that base. Right. And man, we are so deep in this political framework that like, and the media, the most effective devil in America. I've believed that for so long, bro. I mean, it was like the Matrix, like opened my eyes, right? So like to your question, what are we going to be talking about next year? man, I don't know. I know there's going to be plenty of awful things going on in the world, but I'm going to be hopefully still doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about jiu-jitsu. And no.
Jiu-jitsu will still be around, right?
Yeah. No, I love that response because I feel like what is ringing in my head when you say that is like my response to this is fix your house. Like fix your house. Fix your house, you know, and let that like resonate out, like you said, the neighborhood, the community, like things like this. If we continue a friendship and it, you know, we grow it and it becomes something that's strong in our lives to lean on if it needs to be leaned on, you know, like keep creating that. And like you said, they say, you know, I feel bad for your kids, you know, and I remember on our first kid, like I remember that thought. I don't know if someone implanted it, but I was like, well, should we have kids? Because it's like, this world's kind of crazy. Would it be fair to them to have them? And then now that I have kids, I'm like, dude, I'm creating heroes, first of all. You know what I'm saying? So like whatever's coming, these fuckers are the best. I love these kids. I love them more, and I want to be around them more than I want to be around who's ever saying, oh, I'm feeling bad for your kids. So there's that. But on the second part, I heard something today that was like the people who are pushing some of these like radical, more dangerous, moral and ethicless ideas, they've decided that they aren't going to have kids. And so it's like here in about 3 decades, all of our kids are going to be left.
What is it?
And they don't have anybody.
Idiocracy.
You know?
Idiocracy was the inverse. It was all the smart people stopped having kids.
Yeah.
The dumb people kept having kids.
Yeah. It's like the reverse of that. So no, I really appreciate that answer.
Yeah, I would.
Thanks,
the
bro.
only pushback I would give on the take care of your house is that how long are you going to have that house for? With I feel like the overreach from the federal government. You know,
I'm sorry, I don't mean physical house when I say that.
No,
I guess
I know you didn't mean physical house. I know you meant community. Your personal, you know, your family, stuff like that. But I mean, how long before that's dwindled down?
Yeah,
so
you know what I mean?
I will still get to choose how I respond. Viktor Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning. He writes about in that book how he was driven on a Nazi train car past the basketball court that he grew up playing basketball at. Mm-hmm. He was then put in a concentration camp. The people who died were the ones who lost hope, stopped eating, stopped doing the work. The people who lived were guys like him who went out throughout the war, found the things they could have gratitude for. I'm going to be that guy, bro. If I lose my house, I've lost my job before. I almost lost my house. I literally had to say, if my house is gone, who am I going to be? Where will I live? Well, crap, I'll have to move in. Like, I've come up with this line. It's almost like from David Goggins, but I had to live it too. But it's like, can't hurt me. You cannot hurt me.
Yeah.
Just because I refuse.
And I get that, but
to that,
easier said than done, though, right?
I'll do it.
For sure.
I know.
Do it, bro, because I've done it before.
We're constantly seeing the abuse from our federal government on my biggest thing is our fucking debt. I mean, the continued devaluing of our dollar. I mean, what is it? 30% now.
If we lose the world currency, we'll be second class citizens.
And
right?
I guess what I'm saying is,
but then we face real issues.
When I say fix your house, I think it transcends even beyond what you said. Yeah, your family, your community. No, even beyond that, it goes to what we were talking about today of like continue learning, continue getting better, be better at the survival, be better at like being able to protect those around you, and take that into the areas and the avenues that you have access to fix the government system or to fix the local system of where you're at and affect change.
How do we do that when they're gatekeeping?
They are gatekeeping.
Yeah. Like you can say run
They're
local,
getting old.
and I agree. I think local is more important than federal.
I love how you've talked about that recently on the show, by the way.
But when you have the overreach of the federal government in these local municipalities, it's like, how are you supposed to do anything when everything's relying on, like Kansas City, for instance? A lot of that, like during COVID, a lot of the policies that were enacted was because they were holding federal funding. They're like, hey, if you don't enact these policies in your city, we're going to hold federal funding. We've heard that about Mayor Lucas doing. So if that's the power that they have, I don't understand why people fight, especially with me being libertarian and discussing ending the Fed. That's not saying we can't protect our borders. I'm all for protecting our borders. I'm all for having policies into where the government is responsible for protecting the citizens' health and property. But that's it. Like, no more of this funding wars in other places, sending foreign aid everywhere, abusing all the money that is given to them because it's somehow they scratch the back of others with it, and then it ultimately scratches their back, or the corporate ladder climb that they're continuing to do. So they're supporting these policies that just don't make sense because it's gaining them a huge following of people. Like, no, it needs to be, we need to get rid of this. And I understand that sounds crazy, and go back to being able to controlling small portions of the country. So state by state by state, because if we do that, then it gives other people areas to live that more accommodates their life and their beliefs and their way of living. You know what I mean? Instead of having one organization that controls an entire country and they're telling you, this is how you should live. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And if we continue to let it happen, how far along are we going to let it continue to where, you know, it's almost mass, you know, control. I mean, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything. You know, you're not going to have any representation from your states because they're not able to do anything because they're relying on the federal government. You know, it just, I don't see how we let this continue and it just works out. We've seen it decline and decline and decline.
It's wild because you have federal agencies that have like gross overreach, right?
Yeah.
Like over the whole country.
Yeah.
But then what you have happening on a state level, and I can't remember, I think it was Jeremy's brother who's on here. He's talked a lot about,
Blake.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I was really inspired with one of the conversations you had with him and some others that I've heard just from a libertarian perspective is that we have seen certain states buckle down and double down on certain things. So like people will flock to those states. Like example, my previous state of California, like I was one of millions of people that left that state because I was like, bro, like I just can't like live here anymore. You know, like I don't have access to things. Like I shared, we tried to adopt, like, you know, I wanted to go hunting without having to put my name in a lottery every single time and not get selected. So like, you know what, I'm going to go to a place that still has some land available and still, you know, has some better things in place. And, you know, we found that in Kansas, you know, and for, you know, I said, you know, wherever you go, there you are. So the same things that piss you off where you live now, if you don't resolve those things in your heart, like where you go, you'll find that stuff. Traffic is one of the examples, but like we still do actually have some independence when it comes to states. I see what your point is about,
for
like
how long?
For how long? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question, but and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to back out of your question, bro, but I just keep going to, like, no matter what happens, like, that's why I'm doing jujitsu.
No, and I totally get that. And I think I'm just harping on it more now.
Sure.
Is because I'm continuing to see both sides of the aisles just cling to their parties no matter what. You know, this is coming from a man who voted for Trump this year for the first time. And literally, I don't know why it's so difficult to be like, oh, the guy I voted for, 180 on his campaign, I'm no longer supporting him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
The people that are like, no matter what their person does,
that's what I'm worried about.
See because any of the faults. Yeah, that's very concerning.
That's the support for the Fed that scares me, is because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have their fucking tentacles in a lot of these people that support them. And no matter what, even if they're doing something that is not good for us, they will find an excuse for their tribe. And it drives me insane. I've heard people because they're like, well, you're libertarian, but you voted for Trump. Yeah, I voted for Trump because he was running off of a campaign that was speaking on libertarian principles, cutting taxes,
tons of libertarian. It was almost like it was libertarian
waste,
masquerading as a Republican
exactly.
campaign.
I mean, literally, you're endorsing the FBI director that said he's going to turn that agency into a museum, like all these things, and we can go on, and then him 180 on it, and then it's like, oh, but you still have to stick with them because you don't want to be wrong. No, I'm not going to do that. And then for the other side saying, well, you voted for him, you're part of the problem. What the fuck else was I supposed to do? You gave me 2 shitty options, okay? What do you want me to do?
I've never been.
Good people don't run for politics usually.
Ever since I've been an adult, I've never been impressed with their options, bro.
Yeah.
Like
good people don't run for these political positions, do they? Have you, other than Ron Paul? I mean, who else?
I was just gonna say I wrote Ron Paul in 2008 and 2012. I knew he wasn't. There was no chance.
I voted for Gary Johnson in 2012, which I mean,
I remember Gary Johnson. I remember, but
even then, like I could have voted for Chase Oliver. Who the fuck even is that? Just siding with my libertarian part. But I'm not going to do that,
bro.
He went on podcasts. He did this huge campaign and was saying a lot of things right, and then just. I knew it. I knew it was a 50-50 fucking gamble. And I was like, it's okay though. If it doesn't happen, I don't mind saying I was wrong because I don't. I went on the Ozone Layer podcast and told him, I said, I'm off the fucking Trump train. And that was only 3 months in.
That was a great conversation, by the way, dude.
Thank you. I seen the way he handled the immigration issue. I don't like seeing people stripped away from their fucking families or this cowboy bullshit out in the streets.
We cannot ignore human suffering, bro.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
But yet, when I say, oh, but I want strong borders and I want illegal immigrants to be sent back to their country, somehow I'm a fucking fascist and I'm a this and that. No, dude, there's ways to go about it. We discussed immigration, abortion, school shootings, whatever else, these wedge topics. All these things can be solved. We know school shootings can be solved with added security and other security measures. I'm sure you know about this too. I mean, fucking, what do we secure our airports, our government buildings, all these things with? Why can't we implement that in schools? Immigration. Protect your borders. Why are we in fucking 200 other countries meddling around over there? Bring them back. Protect your borders. Revisit the immigration process. See if there's a way that we can improve on that. That way people don't try to go around the line. Stop letting companies abuse illegal immigrant labor because it's cheaper for them. That's wrong. Maybe start going after companies. How about that? If you find a company with 400 illegal workers at the Hyundai factory, then maybe put the guy that owns that Hyundai factory or the multiple people that own it in prison, so they stop doing that instead of always just targeting the people that just want to work,
Yeah, breaks my heart, bro.
Abortion. Why can't we just say, hey, me personally, I don't like abortion, but I'm not going to tell other people what to do. That's something that they need to find. They need to go find and figure out for themselves.
Yeah, same. It's a battle I learned. I don't fight that battle.
But that's
not my fight.
But also as a religious person, you should allow them to be able to preach that it's wrong, that it is murder. These both things can be true. And yet we want to
saying that.
Yeah, and yet we want to fight about what is more right than the other. It drives me nuts, man. All these things can be fixed, but why don't they fucking fix it? Because if they did, then a lot of them wouldn't have jobs. That's why the homelessness crisis is still continuing.
Well, yeah.
We all act like, oh, let's keep dumping money into it. We're going to fix it. It never works. We just talked about this on the last podcast when I had Andy on. They dumped over $1 billion in Washington, the state of Washington, and it has not fucking fixed anything. California, we've heard Colion Noir talk about it.
Yep.
Here in Kansas City, because they're like throwing money at something, but not really getting underneath what's actually causing the bleeding.
We're not addressing
they're slapping a Band-Aid on it.
Cost of living and housing availability and resources. And
why are people using so much drugs? Is there a reason why, or do you just think people love drugs? Maybe there's a fucking reason. Maybe there's a lot of people that are going through that are victims of sexual abuse, or maybe we need to look at our orphanages organizations, because I hear a lot of stories coming out of those organizations and the abuse they face, or maybe that people are having a hard time finding jobs or getting paid enough to be able to live, or I think a big thing is morals, man. Like morals are being stripped from people a lot. Like this whole, like, I'm not saying you have to be religious, but I do think religion plays a good part for helping in moral direction. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys know a lot of people that aren't religious. I'm not saying all, because I've floated in and out, but a lot of the times they feel so hateful towards people that are religious, or so just, I've argued with people with this at work, whenever you bring up religion, oh, you believe in that stupid shit, blah, blah, blah. And I used to be that guy that used to say that. But what the fuck does it matter? If that person believes in religion, I feel like at least that person has some sort of moral compass than he would without it. You know what I mean? A lot better.
What I know about like friends who are atheists or agnostic is a lot of the time that criticism, it comes from abuse and trauma.
Yeah,
like
or they come from really heavily religious households, and they like somehow, dude, I don't know what happened.
I personally have been hurt by more Christians and believers in my life and people in the church than I have people who weren't believers.
So then that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, right? And so when you hear a lot of that, it comes from that.
I know people that have came from Jehovah's Witnesses that tell me some outrageous stories. So I see why they hate it once they leave.
Yeah.
But you can't. The whole reason we even have any type of moral compass in my mind derives from religion. Do you think we were just born like for instance, cavemen? You know what I mean? Like, a long time ago. Do you think that instinctually maybe they had just morals, or was that something that was learned over time or taught? I don't know. To me, I feel like it comes from Christianity. Maybe not. Maybe it's just biologically wired in us not to kill or not to steal, but yet people still
back in the day, they had to survive, because if you think about it, like no matter what, like that's why people have talked about the theory of cities, because cities didn't always exist, but people realized like if we pool our resources and if we're good to each other and we have a quote economy, we can trade with other civilizations. But even at the base level, I mean, you understand there's more strengths in numbers. So like the quintessential example is like to hunt the woolly mammoth. They couldn't do it on their own. This goes back to the lone wolf, not lone wolf Jiu Jitsu. But, I think people instinctually understand, like, man, if I'm away from my family, like I want to know that my family is around people that are going to, look out for them or whatever it is. But like, we're going to take care of each other. So,
but you've seen after the aftermath of Carlie Kirk, it's like, I'm not saying just because you're Christian, you're going to be a good person. That's not true.
Sure.
But you've seen the reaction. We've seen the comparison between the BLM stuff throughout those times and the comparison with how they handled Carlie Kirk's murder. You've seen a lot of people come together for prayer. A lot of people, and there was people that were saying stupid shit like war, blah, 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 getting into their emotions. And I understandable, just like I understand a lot of the BLM and how they felt, but ultimately it's like, what the fuck? Are we supposed to kill each other and just continue doing this shit? And while the people at top that are pulling the strings are like, becoming more powerful and more wealthy, I don't know, man.
We give them so much more power when we don't focus on our own stuff.
And and not holding our people that represent us accountable. I don't care if they're red. I don't care if they're blue. I don't care if they make you laugh or they make you feel good or whatever the fuck it is. If they're not, you got to stick to the fucking plan, Like if they're not doing what they're doing, call them out, but we're not. And well, majority is not. And I actually will give a little bit of credit to conservatives. My social media is definitely more conservative heavy, me being more of a conservative libertarian. But like I'm seeing a lot of people get out of the whole Trump cultish mindset of whatever he says is gospel, and they're actually pushing back. So I think it's a good thing he got put in office, to be honest with you, because I think it's showing that, hey, the Republican Party is just as corrupt as the fucking Democrat Party. So we need to stop looking at that and looking at, let's get some better people in there, that'll represent us. But ultimately, in the end, I don't think an organization like that we need to continue to feed. We need to I think we need to draw back, focus on, like you said, our house, our states, and improve those. It's kind of like the free market if you look at it in a sense. It's, when you create competition between in a free market, they're more liable to listen to the people that are actually purchasing things from them, you know, and their wants and needs, because it affects them. But when you have a big organization like that, that has vast amounts of power, and it doesn't matter because regardless, we have to send our money, because if we don't, we go to jail. And if we refuse that, they're going to shoot us and kill us, you know, or arrest us or whatever it may be. It's like, it doesn't matter. They don't have to listen. So if you let all these states compete, you can go live in Missouri. And if people start moving from Kansas to Missouri because they're like, well, Kansas is this way, then Kansas goes, oh, well, fuck, I got to change some things because I'm losing a lot of citizens right now.
I know people in both states that left the state because of how things turned out. Because
we've seen it in California. Yeah.
But even just locally, like Kansas and Missouri, yeah, it's like, dude, like there's folks that got upset with results of, you know, last turn of elections in Kansas, so they went to Missouri.
Right.
And then the same with Missouri and Kansas. And so, yeah, I don't have exact answers for what you're saying, but I do think like what we're doing, like us three men,
right,
and how we're leading
and just
our
having
families,
this conversation too, right now.
Yes,
yeah.
and thank you. That was the point I was getting at. Is like the thing about Carlie Kirk that I noticed too was like there were quite a few people confessing online, like I hated this guy. And then I went down the rabbit hole and I started watching his talks, and now I'm sad that he's gone.
Right.
Because no one else had the courage to have those conversations. That's the thing about the folks that are like celebrating his death, is like, how many of you had the guts to go and do these things on TV? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm sure if Carlie was alive, you could probably ask him about things he said that he regretted. He'd probably have a ton of reflections, right? But he doesn't get to do that anymore because somebody killed him because of what he said,
right?
You know, and that is something that I hope and that I did see. I've seen like a lot of people sharing. You get these little snippets of good news every once in a while. I think my algorithm's trained to give me a little bit more good news these days.
Right.
And there are people that have reflected on this, and like there's people that actually debated him that have come out and said, man, I never wished him to be dead, you know? And that's a whole other level. And the other thing too is like, I think we've already given those people too much credit by even talking about them here, right? And it's like, I know for a fact, like the people I have in my circle and the community that I've cultivated, more people are saddened by human suffering and the loss of life,
right?
You know, and that's something that I present me thanks past me for,
yeah.
You know, and that's another thing you talk about, like, you know, changing over time is like, we think we're fixed, man. Like we think we're going to believe the same things for the rest of our life. But like in the reality, last 10 years, 15 years, we've had so many things, life events, political things, job changes. We are adaptable. We're more adaptable to change and making improvements in our life than I think we give ourselves credit for. So like, I think a year from now too, we're going to hear from people that like were either there and witnessed this heinous murder or started going down the rabbit hole and they had a change of heart.
Right.
In both ways, in both directions, you know? So I know that we're in a moment where all these events, it seems like they only last like a news cycle, literally. Some of them disappear like the same day that they happen.
Yeah.
But like it does have an impact on us, man, you know,
But that's more reason why I say, like, we need to go back to state by state by state, because we shouldn't be, I don't think people in Missouri should be having to worry about everything that's going around them, but you kind of have to.
I get the connection
when it deals with the federal government, because it's affecting all of us. So all these different things could possibly head to your state at some point. What's going on in New York or California or could possibly get to your state, and we're having to keep tabs on that because I feel like the Fed is the biggest ones that are pushing these things. So that's what worries me. But to kind of conclude it and to help, I understand I might be a little tipsy right now too. That's probably why I'm fucking going off right now.
That's totally okay. But we're three bros.
That's what we're here for.
Four bros having a conversation
I
here.
know that I am not like the most intellectual to be able to explain these things. There's plenty of people out there that you can go listen to. That's the beauty of having alternative media, which in my mind is just media now. I mean, really, big media's done. Pretty much Fox News, CNN, all that shit's just done. You can go and listen to these independent journalists. You can go and listen to these podcasters that are doing great research and just giving very good, reliable information. And whether or not you believe it or not, I suggest just go and try it. Go listen and actually do the work, because what I'm seeing and what scares me is that I see from the conversations that I have with a lot of people try to weigh in on a lot of things that they have barely any information about. And they think they know, but a lot of the times they're reacting off of emotion. And emotion's going to get us, probably not steered in the right direction. Emotion kind of clouds an objective mindset, being rational. And so if I can say anything to encourage people, is just do research, do an hour a day of actually kind of going between both sides of the aisle, like we like to say, and seeing and taking information from both sides and kind of really looking at it. Don't just hear something and just go, oh, that's against what. No, just listen to them. Listen to them, hear them out, and then sit down with it for a while and see what you think. It may alter your mind. It may change your mind on things. It may give you a different perspective if you allow it. But if you shut it off just completely and don't allow it at all because it goes against your team, you're not going to grow. You're going to be stuck in an echo chamber, and that goes for both sides. That's not just left. That's right too. So just meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I like to live more in the gray. And I got to tell you too, before we kind of close it out, like, I so appreciate what you do on this podcast, bro.
Thank you.
Like, I really do. Your tagline is a place for real conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, just you opening up your table in your basement to like have these conversations, bro. We've been talking about what's the solution this whole time. And I'm like, this is the solution, right? Yeah. Like, this is part of it. This is one of many. We talked about our own house, all this, taking care of our own families, taking care of our bodies. Then we could take care of people. But like what you're doing with this show, bro, and the conversations even that you've had since the last time I was on, the last time Bear was on, you continue to cover new ground and open up new conversations, bro. And so honestly, your podcast really reinvigorated something in me to like appreciate natural, agenda-less conversations again, bro.
I appreciate it.
So I just want to tell you, bro, like thank you. And thank you for having me back. This is truly a special thing, bro.
No, and thank you guys,
so
man.
Special,
I mean,
dude.
This show's nothing without, the people that are sitting in the opposite seat of me, and I just want to show that these blue check marks, these people that we look up to, they're not the end all be all. I'd rather talk with people who are going kind of through the same things I'm going through and can understand, what normal, quote unquote, normal people or average day people are going through. Next week, I'm having Leo back on. He's a progressive, used to work for the Young Turks. Me and him differ on certain things. Him being more left leaning, me being, more libertarian, but we have conversation, what I mean? Like, we talk.
Absolutely.
And I understand that it can get us riled up and frustrated and pissed because, the people that we are electing to power are enacting policies that are affecting people. They're affecting, whoever. Think about any policy, whoever, it's going to affect them. So I would really push for people to think about this. If it's going to affect somebody's livelihood, then maybe we should stop having people in positions that are able to do that, because the power we give to some could ultimately be used against you when their term is done. You know what I mean? Your team's not always going to be in there. Yeah. And I'm seeing it on both sides. I'm seeing the I'm pissed off. Give them the power to do this. We've seen with the whole cancel culture right now, with the whole Jimmy Kimmel and all this stuff, and all these people. Yeah, we need to go after the left like they came after us, and the left's like, we need to go after the right like they came after us, and like we're giving power to these people.
The hypocrisy of Pam Bondi saying we're going to go after you.
Oh yeah,
for what you said about.
She's a dumb bitch. I need to get her out of there, dude. It drives me nuts.
She's awful.
Yeah, I don't. But like, really, they really need to like really think about that. There's another thing too. Stop giving power to these people because it's going to be used against you at some point. It may seem great at that moment, but when they're out, the other one steps in. They're gonna go. Even we've seen it right now with Trump. Look at all the fucking trolling and petty shit he's been doing. Like with the whole putting the auto pin up on the wall, Could you imagine if Joe Biden took down Trump's picture and put some, I mean, the conservatives be going fucking nuts. It's what are we doing, guys?
That's why I just don't give them power.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what
you can't control me. You can't hurt me.
And that's what fully makes me feel concrete about and I fucked up this year by being gullible to Trump's campaign. I learned my lesson on that. I'm willing to admit I was wrong on that, but fully concrete.
If you went the other way, would it have gone
No,
better?
I just wouldn't have voted like I normally do. I haven't voted since 2012, but I tried. I was like, man, when I seen that, I've never seen that before. You guys know what I'm talking. I'm sure you guys kept up with some of it. I want the huge podcast campaign.
I know you're not crucifying yourself right now on this podcast, but like current you, past you didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Like we
hindsight bias is always easy.
I felt the same way. Like you didn't fuck up though because you voted for something you believed in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They fucked up.
Well, you know how people
But you didn't fuck up.
Like for instance, there's some people that have been like, well, you didn't think Trump, you actually honestly thought Trump was going to do all the things you said. Yeah, hindsight bias is easy to have. It's like being in the scary movie and going, hey, he's in the other room.
You are on record acknowledging that they're not going to accomplish what they say they are.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally on record. You said it before the election came. You said, you said literally, Gabriel, early 2025, Gabriel said, I don't think Doge is going to accomplish a third of what they say they're going to do.
And I might have. I don't know. My memory sucks. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I said many times it's a gamble.
You and I
actually know I've said it's been many times. It was
you and I
gamble.
spoke. I never got the impression that you were gullible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
Or that I was a Trumper. Yeah. Like,
no,
and that's what drives me nuts.
You never were.
Yeah.
You never were, bro.
I decided to participate in an election that I thought would actually make a small bit of improvement.
You literally were verbally processing your skepticism. It's on record. It's on the podcast, bro.
Yeah, go listen to my shows. Go listen to every single episode. I don't know which episode it is.
I don't remember a damn thing I say on my show. It's my job to help my brothers out and remind them. But like, what about you, dog? What are your closing thoughts, man? I got to hear from Uncle Bear.
I just I mean, I'm with you. I know that I was a little quiet there, but I was appreciating the conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm just in the same boat. I think that at the end of the day, though, it comes down to that kind of expounding on what I said in the chat, that the things that we're participating in day to day, we just need to be conscious of them. And if they are not feeding us good things like morals and ethics, then just remove them, because there's not a neutral ground with these things. It's either feeding you or it is starving you. It is like, and so they are succeeding at hollowing out some people out of humanity. The people who care to post like that, like you lost your humanity. And if you can admit it and start pouring yourself into good things, then it will come back. You're not extinct, but you are a desert from goodness and graciousness and kindness. And so make sure that the things that you're participating in are feeding those things and feeding that soil so that you can be the person who brings that to your house, to your community, to those sorts of things. And I will also say that oh man, I keep losing my thought. It was the second time.
it's a biblical thing, but
We've
like,
been going on for a while.
You got to prune the dead bushes.
I remember my thought. Yes, exactly. So when you were talking about like, well, what do we do? What do we do? And it put this image in my mind of like pitch blackness, and a pinhole of light eats the darkness. Like even a pinhole of light can eat the darkness to where you can start to see what's around you. So even if you are that pinhole, it matters. Yeah. It actually matters. Yeah. You know,
put yourself in other people's shoes, man. That goes around the whole board. You know, right, left, no matter what you are.
Yeah.
Put yourself in other people's shoes, and I don't know, man. We got to help one another. You know, stop relying on others. So,
totally.
But I appreciate you guys coming on, man. I had a great time as always. I gotta piss so fucking bad right now. I think my last hour.
I'm after you, bro.
Yep. We got to do more of these, man. You know, yeah. I am going to be. I will tell the viewers they're listening. The next show might be, you know, there might be a little bit of, you know, dead time between these shows because starting a new position. So I may have to go down to only 2 or 1 episodes a month. Unfortunately, you know, we'll kind of weigh out, see how, you know how it is. First month on the job, you got to kind of weigh these things
full
out.
Force, bro.
Yeah, you got to be able to kind of get used to routine and get acclimated. But no, anybody wants to come on and talk. Like I said, it doesn't matter, whatever politics, you know, you fucking like to snowboard. I don't know. Come on, let's talk about it. It's always a good time. So thank you guys. Do you have anything else that you guys want to close
let's
out
definitely do it again, bro.
Yeah, man.
You know, we'll figure it out.
Cool.
Thank you for having us back on, bro.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Yep.